myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you.
Good evening and welcome to NUFC Matters Matchday Live. It is Newcastle United versus Wolverhampton Wanderers in the Premier League. A big game for Newcastle, who are looking to get 3 points to edge themselves away from the relegation battle. As always, I'm joined by a team of Newcastle United supporters from up and down the country and abroad. Nathan, Daz, Richie, Chris, Holly, who is the birthday girl. Many happy returns to her. Martin, Pete, Liam and Alwaleed. And I am doing what's called a half a shift tonight. I'm going to give you the teams. There is the lineup: Martin Dubravka, Emil Kraft, Jamal Lascelles, Kieran Clark, Jamal Lewis, Isaac Hayden, John Joe Shelby, Joe Willock, Miguel Almiron, Alan Saint-Maximin and Joe Linton. On the bench: Darlow, it's not used to being there, Dummett, Carroll, Richie, Gale, Hendrick, Fraser, Murphy and Sean Longstaff. So Dubravka's in. Interesting. A lot of fans have wanted that. Will it make a difference tonight? Who knows? We will wait and see. And moving on to the Wolves team, there we go. Very small writing for somebody with dodgy eyesight. When you get to my age, it's the way it is. But Patricio, Denendonka, Cody, Sash, Semedo, Martinho, Neves, Otto, Adama, Willian and Neto. That's your starting lineup for Wolves. I'm going to hand you over into the capable hands of Nathan, who is drawing the short straw because he was first on and he's sitting right next to us. So, Nathan, you're going to take over. I'm going to depart and I will be back for the second half. Have a good one, guys and girl.
Brilliant. Enjoy Anton Deck.
I will do. Take care.
Right, guys, how are we all? We're all right this evening. We're looking forward to the game.
All good, Ned.
Yeah, all good. Right, let's start with that team then. Can you do the trickery, Daz? Can you get that team back up when we need it?
No, because I'm not logged in as I can log back out and log back in if you want.
There it is. It appeared. Who did that?
It must be Steve.
All right, Daz, we'll come to you then first. What do you think of that team? We've got Dubravka back in. Everyone's been asking for that for weeks now, it seems. And Hendrick stays on the bench, which is, can you believe it? What do you think of that team?
Yeah, the players for him, for Hendrick. Yeah, delighted Dubravka's back in. Yeah, pretty much as expected. Okay, I didn't want to see Kraft back in because that's where our they're going to score tonight through a mistake from Kraft, and he's weak in the right back spot. But we don't have Manquillo back, so I suppose the only other option would have been the likes of Murphy, or unless you moved Hayden back into the right back. So anyway, Kraft is there, not what I wanted. Joe Linton starts, not great. I'd like to see Gale, but I think we have to go what we have after that. Probably for me, going to be like either a 4-2-3-1, 4-1-2-2-1, or 4-5-1 kind of formation. But let's see. Yeah, the weak point being Kraft, really, Nate.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's one of the things that stands out for me is Kraft still in there. I don't know what our options are, though. I'd like to see Murphy given a chance, but that's just me. What do you think, Richie?
Yeah, I think we're the same as you used to. If unfortunately, Kraft's our only out and out right back, isn't he? So I think Murphy's played at wing back before. It's just what they actually think of him defensively. I think that's the only bad thing about that. Obviously, Lascelles, I still think he's been a bit of a liability this season. Unfortunately, Fernandez hasn't been fit to make the squad today, but obviously I know he's probably going to be in next week. I probably would have liked to have given Dummett a go, but obviously, unfortunately, with him being club captain, he's usually first name on the team sheet. That's the same for Shelby being vice captain. He's automatically picked. However, I'd still like to take them two out. I think it's probably going to be Jones's 4-4-2 diamond with Miggy at the top of the diamond, then centrally and probably Maxi on the left and Joe on the right of the two. But if they do change it around, you can always play Gale through the middle and then move Almiron out wide or something like that. But apart from that, like, the team pretty much picks itself, and it's good to have Dubravka back in.
Yeah, definitely, I would agree. I think the app that I was looking at, it showed us playing the diamond formation again, which we've seen in previous games. I think we're looking like we're going to stick with that. For me, in previous games, that's left us a bit narrow, I felt like. And I think with our 2 weak points being the left back and right back, I think having a bit of a narrower team leaves those two exposed. And I think we've seen that certainly against Man United. Chris, how you doing, mate? You all right? What do you think?
Yeah,
I'm good,
Oh,
thanks,
sorry.
mate. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go on. You're all right.
no.
Go around the houses. Chris Hall first. Come on.
Chris Hall.
Sorry.
Yeah. I'm all right. Thanks, Nate. You all right, mate?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good.
Good. Yeah. No, I'm a bit nervous for tonight. I've got to be honest. It's the first time I've felt this nervous in a while. I think it's obviously, as Rich said earlier, to do with the Brighton score. Obviously that's going to have a big impact, and the opportunities there. I mean, for me tonight, I'm hoping for at least a point. Like a lose is just not an option for me. We can't lose this game tonight. It's got to be a draw at the very least, and obviously it'd be lovely to get a win. But in terms of the lineup, yeah, no surprises. 4-4-2 diamonds, completely agree. I think Bruce is sticking to that now, and as much as it's got its disadvantages, in terms of not protecting the left back and the right back, I think it's important that the players know what formation they're working to. Hopefully this week they've been working on possible ways to try and protect the wing backs a little bit. As the lads have already said, it's a bit disappointing seeing Kraft back in there, but I suppose it's limited options, isn't it? I know sometimes Vichy's played at left back, but I suppose there'd be no reason why we couldn't try him at right back, especially with him being right-footed. I would have probably maybe given that a go, or possibly even Fraser. I know Fraser's filled in at right back on the odd occasion. So, I maybe would have had Fraser in there just for that little bit of extra pace. Albeit I know he's probably not defensively all that great. But yeah, also slightly disappointed Joe Linton's up top, but again, as I said last week, he needs to, put his arm around a striker and say, right, you're me man, you're the one I'm going forward with. I need performances out of you. I'm going to show a bit of trust in you. You've got to repay it. And that's what he's got to do. He can't just keep chopping and changing every week. But yeah, everything else in the lineup, as we've already said, we can't drop Lascelles really because he's the captain. But he and Kraft wouldn't be in my starting 11. But given the options we've got, we're pretty limited. So yeah, much as expected. But I'm going to be keeping a close eye on that left wing for Wolves. They've got Neto and they've got Johnny. They're both very, very good players. So that'll be a bit nerve-wracking for the first few minutes, I would have thought.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. I'm not sure what I would have gone with up front. Alwaleed, how you doing, mate? You okay?
Yeah, great.
Yeah, good.
Excited.
So what? So we've got Joe Linton up front tonight. We've got Dwight Gale, Andy Carroll on the bench. What would you pick? What would you be going with? Are you happy with the team?
So far, two player. Great to see Dubravka back. Not because Darlow, because for me Darlow from now I can say he's the star of the season, but because there is lack of communication between the goalkeeper and the defense line. I noticed this because there is so many beginner mistake in defense, especially last time against Manchester United. So let's hope Dubravka fill this gap and he try to much better organize for the defense line. We can't blame him for Kraft because Manquillo, I think he's still not ready. Regarding Hayden and Shelby, okay, they are good choice, but the problem is they need to be replaced in minute 60 or 70 when the stamina is down. We need Stava brothers. I'm still big question mark. Where are they? Why they are not participate and refresh the team? For Joelinton, for me, I decide, and from today, I will not criticize Steve Bruce anymore because apparently he sees he's the best one. So we will blame him for the result, or we are thank him for the result. We will see Newcastle fans. There is no mercy for Bruce. Choose whatever you want to play in center forward. We will see after the game.
Yeah, well, apparently we don't know, guys, do we? We don't know the ins and outs of what goes on in Steve Bruce's mind. So I think he, he's one on his own on that one. Chris, how you doing, buddy? You okay?
I'm all right.
You got it. It's your turn now. Finally, we've come round to you. Your turn.
Yeah, no, I was late coming, so I'm a little behind. Could you post the lineup? Are you? Yeah, sorry. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, this game. I feel like we've already had quite a week already, and this game is almost like the afterthought.
Is that helping, Chris? Sorry, mate.
Brilliant.
Yeah, thanks for the assist, Chris. Yeah, so I okay. Yeah, gosh, Joe Linton starting. If we don't have anything up front, it's almost like you'd put Carroll up there, because I think Carroll on one leg or whatever still gives more than Joe Linton. So it's I'm of course pleased to have Dubravka back. He should have been starting the moment he was healthy. I don't think that you sit your number one keeper, even if your number two is on a hot streak or doing well. But there was definitely a drop off for Darlow. Jamal Lewis, I think he has a lot to prove. So we'll see whether he comes good in this game. Just starting to go in the right direction, because there's been a lot of backslide there. I'm still big on Joe Willock, even though the other lads that we previously discussed wouldn't sign him if we were given a chance by Arsenal. But Miguel Almiron, he pretty much has to be the life of the club without Wilson. I mean, I know that Saint-Maximin is going to give you the magic runs and maybe not be the best finisher, but I'd look to Miggy to be really the catalyst for this club in the absence of Wilson, and hopefully he has a good game today. Right.
Yeah, I hope so too, mate. Holly, nice to have you on. What do you think? What do you think of the team? Any changes you'd make?
I just want to quickly say thanks to everyone in the comments for the birthday messages. I appreciate them. And the team was pretty predictable, I think. I agree with Chris that we definitely need to get at least a point out of this game. We can't afford to lose it, especially obviously after the West Brom result today. If the bottom three start picking up results, then we're going to be in more and more danger. I'm really happy to see Dubravka back, because I think you can see mistakes creeping into Darlow's game now. And although he has done well, I just think we've got to play with our best players, especially when we're in this relegation battle. And Dubravka's a lot better than Darlow for me, despite how good he's been. And then I would have liked to see Murphy play at right back instead of Kraft, just because Kraft's so poor. And although it's not something you'd normally go with, I don't think it'd be any worse. So I'd like to give him a go. And then I would like to see Richie at left back over Lewis, because I know Lewis is like only young and stuff, but I just feel like I would rather see Richie because he just hasn't been good enough. And then I would have liked to have seen Carroll up top instead of Joe Linton. I think in the same team, Richie and Carroll could play really well together. And Carroll put in a lot more effort for me. I don't have a lot of faith in Joe Linton. I think he did okay against Man United, but I still would rather have had Carroll and then maybe brought in Joe Linton in the second half. And then I would have liked to have seen Sean Longstaff in instead of Shelvey, because Shelvey's just not it for me anymore. I think he needs to go in the summer.
Yeah, definitely agree. And those comments he made this week about doing a lot of running for Steve Bruce, no idea where they came from at all. Martin, how you doing, buddy? You okay?
I'm all right, mate. Good to see you back.
Yeah, good. Glad to be back. Yeah, so it looked like up front for me that it looked like from the app that I was using anyway, I had Joe Linton and Saint-Maximin together up front. I'm not sure if that's how it's going to pan out. We've seen Saint-Maximin up front earlier in the season. For me, it was less than impressive. What do you make of this?
Yeah, Live Score have it down as kind of the diamond with ASM and Joe Linton up front. I think obviously the issues at left back and right back with Lewis and Kraft could be problematic tonight. I'm glad Dubravka's back in, because I think Lascelles, I've been saying all season I haven't wanted him anywhere near the team. He's not my captain. And I think, I took a bit of flack earlier in the season on some of the shows, and now that's kind of stood its time and ground now in the fact that his performance has been pretty woeful. He's tended to wander, and we've not really had a voice at the back, Marshall and the back four. So I think I'm glad Dubravka's back in. But I suppose the concern for me is the likes of Neto and Johnny on that left up against Kraft, and then on the opposite side you've got a man, you've got Traore up against Lewis, who's young, and Traore, built like a brick shit house, full of running. Could cause us problems. Up front, I think, ASM, I think there's not too many options. If we play with the same pace and intensity as we did against Man United the first 45, then, we can probably cause them some troubles, because, defensively, Wolves have not been great this season. They've lost a few games, have had a couple of draws against teams you wouldn't expect, not really firing on all cylinders. But we seem to run out of pace in the second half against Manchester United. And when that press and that pace, that intensity level drops off, we then start to get caught out. So I think I want to see that full 90 minutes of intensity and pressing. I don't think John Joe will give us the legs again. I don't think he should be anywhere near the team. But I think, as Holly said, I think it's a predictable pick from Bruce. Obviously John Joe's little interview he did online there last couple of days was awful to watch. But I think as per Bruce, there's 2 or 3 hitting the team who have been stealing a living for a while and just get into it because they protect Bruce and, they big him up. So, yeah, look, I think it is what it is. But, yeah, left back and right back I think will be problematic. I think Neto and Traore will cause us problems if we don't protect the back. So, yeah, could be a tricky game, I think.
Pete, my friend, last time I saw you was after the Chelsea game, wasn't it? And you were beside yourself. Are you any more positive this week? How's that team looking for you?
You can't help but be a little bit more positive, if I'm honest, just because we're now playing teams that we can get points off. So you've got to be positive going into this game. And although I agree with Chris H in that I'm a little bit nervous, I have been all week about this game because we're desperate for points. I still believe that we can get something from these games. And if you look at the history in recent years, particularly at St James's Park, we tend to get something from these games. So that leaves me with a little bit of hope, and it gives me a little bit of positivity that we can get something tonight. If you look at the team, am I surprised? Not really. I knew that Dubravka would come back in. It was well documented in the week that he was going to be coming back, and he should be. He's number one. And I said it last week that Carl Darlow signed a 5-year deal as a number 2, so he knows his place. So for me, it's a no-brainer. So I'm glad that he's back in. I'm actually a little bit surprised that we've not gone for a 3-5-2. If I'm honest, and kind of or 3-4-3 and sort of match them up, because that would have then allowed the likes of, and one or two have mentioned it, the likes of Murphy to play right wing back and maybe Matt Ritchie to play on the left wing back, or Jamal Lewis to do that. So I'm quite surprised that we've gone for a 4, because it does expose our weaknesses, which are the fullbacks at the moment. Jamal Lewis is a weakness because he's not protected. Kraft is a weakness because he's just shit. There's no 2 ways about it. He's shocking. He's not a Premier League right back. So I'm surprised with that. But the problem is that he's the only right back we've got at the moment. I wouldn't feel comfortable putting anyone in there. Maybe Hayden at a push, but other than that, I wouldn't trust anyone else to sort of play there and do any better than Kraft, if I'm honest. The formation is exactly the same as what it was against Man United, Chelsea, and so on and so forth. So Joe Linton will play off the left. He'll be there to do the running or the graft, as Steve Bruce has mentioned a few times, and support Kraft tracking back. That's all he's there for. He's not there as a goal threat. He's there as a runner. And that's it. And the reason that he's playing, I think it was documented a couple of weeks ago that he's been given his final chance to prove that he can stay at the club and be a good player. And I think that's why he's playing. Will he do it? No chance. He's got no chance. The guy's finished with us. He's finished as a Premier League player, in my opinion. And I think the quicker he moves in the summer will be better for us and for him in the long run. But they're giving him his chance, and that's the only reason he's starting tonight. I would have liked Fraser to play. I would have liked to have gone with 3 across the front of St Maximin, Almiron and Fraser. Yes, not a recognised striker, but they're all runners. They've all got pace. They've all got creativity, and they can all score goals. And that's what we need tonight. So I'm a little bit disappointed about that, but I hope that gets changed later on in the game. I am worried about our wings. Although Adama Traore has not been the greatest this season, his pace is always a problem. So, Jamal Lewis is going to have the game of his life tonight to really stop him and stop him trying to create something. But Pedro Neto is outstanding. He's an outstanding winger. And him going up against Kraft, I worry. I worry even more so than I worried about Rashford last week. he is going to get tore apart potentially, and that's a big concern for me. Where we can win it, the midfield. We've got Willock driving forward, getting into the box, supporting the front line, getting on the end of it like he did against Southampton. He's played okay since he's come to the club. He's not really put a foot wrong, if I'm honest with you. So hopefully he can take that into tonight. And then Hayden's going to have to play significantly better than he did against Chelsea and Man United because he's not been good enough the last 2 weeks. He's going to have to really put his performances right. And we're going to be carrying John Joe Shelby again. John Joe Shelby's only in the team really as a transitioner of the ball because he's good on the ball. He knows where to find a pass. Everything else is shit about him. He's not a runner. He's not a runner. He's not a grafter. He's got really no intelligence of positional play in midfield. He's just really a bunch of nothing other than when he's on the ball. So do I think we can get something tonight? Definitely. But we're going to have to start strong. We can't have another Leeds in Crystal Palace where we start. I'm sorry, not Crystal Palace. Another Leeds where we start shit. We're going to have to really kick off right from the beginning.
Liam, nice to have you on. So recent weeks we've had Kraft up against Havertz, we've had him against Rashford, as Pete said. Neto this week, do you see that being a problem area for us tonight? And what do you make of the rest of the team?
Yeah, without a doubt, I think it is a problem. Kraft is a defender who we all know doesn't really have the quality for the Premier League, especially for a club like Newcastle United. You saw him really, really exposed against Marcus Rashford last week, absolutely getting bullied on that left-hand side. You saw the first goal as well. He was just sort of clutching at straws, trying to push him to try and cause a foul, and then obviously the goal came. The lineup itself, disappointed but not surprised, really. I sort of do get me hopes up sometimes with, I'd like to see certain people come in. I actually did like my own little lineup today, a couple of minutes before the actual lineup came out. And I had, obviously, Dubravka starting. I'm really happy to see Dubravka back. Big fan of Cardalo. I think in terms of goalkeepers at Newcastle, it's not a very big problem. It's quite a good problem to have, actually, to have a couple of decent goalkeepers because you're sort of like scratching your head at who you'd rather play. I'd have Paul Dummett playing today. And I know he'd probably get absolutely shafted by Adama Traore today, but I was just looking at some stats of Adama Traore before, and he hasn't scored or got an assist this season. So you never know. I would have had Paul Dummett in there, and he could have slotted into centre back if need be. Happy with Hayden starting. Shelby, I mean, you know what happens with Shelby. I would have preferred to have even Jeff Hendrick playing it instead of him. I did have Matty Longstaff down on my little provisional lineup here, but he's not even in this for some reason. Joe Willock, I would probably have it as a 4-3-3, really. I had Joe Willock in the middle playing as like a number 10. So Maximin and Miggy Almiron as wingers. Obviously, possibly swapping sides at half time. And then I'd have Dwight Gale up front. I think with Callum Wilson not starting right now, obviously him being injured, we need quite a pacey, prolific striker. And I think that is Dwight Gale, not exactly to a T, but it's probably the best we can get whilst Callum Wilson is out. And I mean, if we are going to play the way that I think we're going to play, which is just getting the ball to Shelby, and then Shelby's going to knock some long balls forward, we've got to play a sort of pacey striker like Dwight Gale. And I think just Joe Linton isn't the right fit for the way that we're going to play tonight. I think the game itself, it's going to be a very interesting one. I feel like the tactics for these two teams are going to be quite similar. I mean, you saw, the reverse fixture earlier in the season. It was a 1-1 draw. I believe the last 4 league games have been 1-1 draws. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a 1-1 draw again tonight. But it was just a very, very weird tactical battle because our tactics sort of both felt similar. We were both playing 5 at the back at the time. Obviously, we are playing that diamond now. I'm not entirely sure what formation it would be. I think, is it like a 4-3-1-2, something like that? I'm not entirely sure it's going to be like that, but I think it's going to be a very sort of interesting tactical battle tonight.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that midfield is going to be crucial for us tonight. I think it's all about whether we get a performance out of Shelby or not tonight. I hope he plays a big game after talking the talk midweek, but we'll see. So we've got about 4 or 5 minutes to kick off. Let's go around and get what your thoughts, Daz, on Wolves, and also what do you reckon the score is going to be tonight. I'm writing them all down, so I'm going to pull you up on them all later on.
First of all, Nate, you asked for daffodils earlier. I brought you daffodils.
Oh, beautiful!
You
Yeah.
noticed? Yeah, just on score, I think it's going to be 1-1. I think the goal for them will come down our right hand side and Craft the weakest link there, and the goal for us will come via either ASM, Willock, or and Miron. And Wolves, yeah, they're strong, but they're not world beaters or anything like. We should have enough to get at least a draw against them, really. But yeah, they're average, and yeah, we're on Load of Football. We were talking about to a Wolves fan there the other day, and yeah, and they were saying that they haven't been playing to the best of their ability. Like they come up from the Championship, they took to the Premier League like a duck to water, and but no, it's kind of they've backtracked a bit this season.
Richie, what do you think for the score tonight, and where do you think Wolves pose a threat to us?
I think it'll be 1-1 draw tonight. I think Neto will score for Wolves and Miggy will get our goal. Pretty much the same as what Daz went. But I think basically, we had a chat before, and I think with this formation, we struggle with our fullbacks. We had, especially against Chelsea, we were caught out down Chelsea's left-hand side with Kraft so many times. It was unbelievable. But if we can get someone out there to help out on the two full-backs, then we could be all right. But I think definitely we need to stop Neto and definitely need to stop Traore. That's their creative. We can stop them. You never know what the result might be.
Chris, mate, we've got a couple of 1-1s already. Are you going to go for a Newcastle win? Are you going to be the first one to call it?
Mate, I'm gonna have to be because I could see 1-1. Weirdly enough, but I'm gonna be positive and I'm gonna say 1-0. I don't think there's gonna be a lot of goals in the game. I'm gonna say 1-0, and I think Dubravka is gonna have a hell of a game and he's gonna keep a clean sheet on his comeback. So yeah, I'm gonna say 1-0. I can't see us scoring 2. I'd love us to, but I don't see it. So therefore, I'm gonna say 1-0 Newcastle.
Good man, going for the win. Positive, I like it. So as the teams come out, Chris A, what do you think?
Spenny.
You're on mute.
Spenny.
I was going to go 1-1 draw, but
no, not another one.
Richie took that, so and then I thought 2-2 draw, but I'm swayed by Chris Hall, my fellow Chris, saying that he doesn't see two goals from Newcastle. So I'm going to go for cheeky 1-0 Newcastle.
Cheeky 1-0. I like it. I will lead, Mr. Positive. You're going to come. You're going to predict a win. I can feel it.
Not really, because I think it's 2-1 either way. But the thing that I'm not that optimistic, because I know Wolverhampton, they are much more daring on the goal, more than us, unfortunately.
Okay, nice one. Holly, what do you think? Are you going to keep on the positivity? We're on three wins on the bounce we've predicted.
Not for me. I'll be positive and say we'll score, and I'll go with 1-1, but I could see it being a 0-0. I think St. Maximin will score for us and Net will score for them. I'd love to see us get a win, though, because if we did get a win, I think that would help us out a lot with our relegation problems.
Martin, don't let me down. Come on, the win.
Oh, you're asking for a lot, buddy. Yeah, the brain says draw. I think if we can keep Neto occupied, if we can attack and keep them occupied, they obviously can't come forward. I think goal for us. I've started taking Willock in every game because I think he gets into the box and gets the right position. So I'll take a goal from Willock, and I'll go for a 2-1 win Newcastle.
2-1. I like it. Good man. Pete, what are your thoughts?
If you're a betting man, which I'm not, you'd go 1-1, because if you look at the history of our results, 1-1 is the result that normally falls with Newcastle against Wolves. But I'm gonna go with positivity. I'm gonna say we're gonna win 2-1. For some reason, I think Kieran Clark's gonna get one from a set piece. Got a feeling he's gonna nick a goal for us tonight. So hopefully he does.
Well, let's hope those any corners get past the first man tonight, like they haven't been doing for the previous few weeks, have they? So
anybody but Shelby to take them.
Yeah. Liam, what's your prediction?
I'm feeling confident tonight. I mean, I was disappointed in the lineup, but I said earlier today that, I'm feeling confident. And I'm going to go 2-0 Newcastle United. I know history says that it should probably be 1-1 or some sort of draw, but now I'm going to say 2-0 Newcastle. And I think Joe Linton might actually do us a little nice here today.
Oh, you want to put a tenner on that? I think Joe Linton to score. As the game kicked off, lads, because I'm about
kicked off, mate.
Yeah.
I'm about like a minute behind. I think I'm on the Sky Go play. So if anything dramatic happens, give us just shout out and let me know what's going on. One thing I thought we'd talk about is in the lead up to the game this week, we had a really weird press conference from Steve Bruce. Week on week, they seem to be getting weirder and weirder, don't they? This week, he's been talking about daffodils. He's been snapping back at reporters. What was your feedback from that interview, Des?
Yeah, well, to tell you the truth, Nate, I've stopped listening to for the last while. I think Martin has a message. I just heard the everyone started talking about daffodils, and I was like, oh, what's he said now? And then today I said, okay, I'll listen to it. But when I started listening to a press conference today, and he started talking about Darlow being injured, and then I realized it was 4 months old, that press conference. So I didn't actually hear it, but so I just he could come out with anything. So no real remarks on that one, Nate.
Well, yeah, when I found it, I heard everyone talking about it, and I searched on Twitter to find it. So I tapped in Steve Bruce daffodils, and a few videos came up. And the further back you scrolled, there's a video from his time at Aston Villa, and where all the tweets were still up from like 2 years ago, where he was talking about daffodils back then. Talking about the playoffs, I think, when they lost the playoffs. So yeah, I think that must be one of his go-to poetic lines, I think. Richie, what did you think of the comments that he made when he was snapping at I don't think it was Craig Hope this time. I think it was a different reporter, wasn't it, when they asked him about the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer Smilegate incident, and he was less than friendly, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He doesn't like any sort of criticism, does he? But to be fair, I didn't actually watch the press conference because it's just the same old shit every single week out of his mouth. Do you know what I mean? It's, we're playing Wolves, they're a very, very good team, like blah, blah, blah. But I did actually want to listen to the clips of when he had to go back to the post. I always find them intriguing to see what he's actually going to come out with, but it was just an absolute load of tosh out that came out of his mouth. At the end of the day, I think there was several of us on Match Day Live that picked up on him laughing as he was walking off the pitch with Solskjaer. There was lots of people on Twitter after the game. And then for him just to turn around and say, "What was it? Just you that actually said it was me laughing at whatever?" There must have been thousands and thousands and thousands of Newcastle fans who were absolutely, we were. I was fuming at the end of the game when I actually saw him just laughing as though he had no care in the world that he'd been beaten, that he was 3 points above the relegation zone, and to take his supposed hometown club down. It just, I was literally fuming with it. So, it's just once again, it's more dross that comes out of his mouth, just like he delivers on the pitch pretty much every week, just dross, isn't it? So, but it's just, he hates anyone criticising him, and you probably find out next time whoever the reporter won't be allowed to ask a question again.
Yeah, that's how it goes, isn't it? He shuts them down if he doesn't like what they've got to say. Chris, is it a sign of a man that's under pressure? You think these comments that he's coming out with, or do you think that he believes what he says, or do you think it's just a measure of the situation that he finds himself in?
Oh, mate, make no mistake about it. He's under pressure. I mean, it was funny actually because one of the lads who I follow on Twitter, Mark Wallace, he sent me. I a bit like the other lads, I tend to keep away from any Bruce conferences or anything and I tend to just buzz off all the stuff that he says afterwards because everybody always picks up on it and always calls him out for what he said. And like I say, one of the lads on Twitter, Mark, he sent me the comments that he made when the reporter asked him, and it was funny because when I was listening to it, it was only like a minute video, and when I was listening to it right at the end, I just went, "What a prick." And me eldest lad was walking down the stairs and he walked in the room and he was like, looked at me and I was like, "Oh no, I wasn't talking to you, lads. I wasn't talking to you." But he thought I was talking about him. But mate, he absolutely drives me insane. I just, you know, when he goes on the attack, well, they say it's the best form of defence, don't they? And you can tell he's under a hell of a lot of pressure, and he wouldn't be biting like that unless it was bothering him. So therefore, I do think it is bothering him. And sadly, you know, he just looks out of his depth. He looks out of his depth when he does his just had a free kick into the box there. Shelby put a free kick in. He played it short to Willock. Willock bounced it in, and Hayden had the header, but it went straight at Ruud Patricio.
Should have done way better there. Completely unmarked.
Yeah.
Either side there, not enough power. Totally.
Yeah.
Down first.
But yeah, to go back to Bruce, he's out of his depth, you know, both in the job and also when it comes to media. I mean, I don't know anybody who would say to him that what he did was absolutely fine. There's no excuses for it. And he came out, didn't he, and said, I've known Ollie for 20 years and he's my mate, and let's leave it at that. And you think, well, no, Steve, that's not the point. No one's saying that you can't have friends. No one's saying that you can't, have a laugh and a joke with someone. But there's a time and a place, and you don't do it 30 seconds after the whistle's gone. You should be upset. You should be disappointed. You're a Newcastle fan, allegedly. So he must know that, people are upset at home. People are disappointed. So to see him laughing and joking with a manager, after who's just beat him, it's not acceptable.
Yeah, I would agree. I think he's a walking, talking PR nightmare, isn't he? Chris, what did you think of the comments that he made this week in the press conference? And do you think it was?
I try not to read anything that Steve Bruce has said because it's just utter rubbish. He talks like a man who's leading like the Premier League or Champions League or something. It's just like he's living on Earth 2 or something like that. I mean, every time there's room for criticism, he's going to like spin it to like a slight positive or something, or say like, oh, well, the first half was good. I like what I saw. So I just tune him out. If I never read another word that he said or wrote, I'd be happy, man. So I don't know. I mean, I always go back to like if the fans were in the stands, he would have been gone a long time ago, and he's just been lucky that the lockout of fans continues during the pandemic, and there'd be no other club would keep a manager on with this record, and this not only his record but his rapport with the club, with the players. It just seems like he's kind of already ceded the club to Graham Jones, and people have mentioned in another show or something about Graham Jones not making any contribution visibly, but Graham Jones is the guy especially when stuff is going on, he's the one that's telling them what to do, and Steve Bruce is walking around picking him his next kebab.
Yeah, I would agree, Chris. Ollie, what did you think this week about Steve Bruce's comments? Do you think he understands the gravity of the situation that he's in?
Of course, everyone is now under pressure. All of us fans, coach, everyone is under pressure. Even now, before the game start, the camera on Bruce, he was very nervous. I can tell. For the laugh with the Solskjaer, okay, there is many smile. There is many type of smile, but that wasn't a smile. That was a laugh. You can smile in some different way, but the way he smiles, it's I can understand the fans who get angry about it, because it's he shouldn't do this kind of smile. There is a smile, you can tell, like, fine, accept it, but that was like you can say it as like maybe he was accepting the beating, but even though the way he smiled, it was little too much.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it was really poorly timed at best. Holly, what did you make of that whole incident last week? Were you offended when he walked off and he was smiling? What would you expect different from the manager of your club?
definitely. It was disgusting. I thought, like, I don't know what there was to laugh and smile about. We literally got beat 3-1. We were sitting 3 points from the relegation zone, and he's about to take his boyhood club down. I don't get what's funny about that. He says that he's just laughing with his mate and stuff, like, fair enough, but he could do that once he's behind the scenes and off the pitch when there's no cameras around. It was so inappropriate. It was a massive smack in the face to the fans for me. But it's not a surprise that he did it, because we all know at heart he's a Manchester United fan, no matter what he says. He's not a Geordie for me. And honestly, it didn't surprise us. Just yet again, embarrassing the club, a massive smack in the face to the fans, and I just want him out ASAP. He should not be anywhere near this club. He's an insult to everyone that is involved with the club for me.
Yeah, agreed. Well said, Holly. Martin, if you went to work on Monday and you pissed about all day and did everything wrong and then walked out of the office with a laugh and a smile on your face, would you expect to be holding in the morning, or would you expect to get away with it like Bruce has done? What do you think?
I was just going to say, have you been fucking watching me at work? That's no different to every other day when I go in. That's exactly the same. Yeah, do you know what? For me, there's a dead easy answer to this, and it's that he shouldn't have been walking off with Solskjaer in the first place. He should have been walking off with his coaches, reflecting on another defeat and thinking about what are they going to do next, or at least making it look like he was doing that. You know, I think Holly's right. Listen, if you want to go to the club room afterwards,
go on.
Miggy's away. Off the post.
Hit the post.
Yeah, left-hand post. Miggy breaking into the box,
Miggy, man.
clean through. Left.
Yeah, he was on.
Yeah, he was onside. Yeah, he was onside. I was well onside.
Jesus.
Miggy breaking into the box. Left foot shot off the left-hand side of the bar. Post.
Unlucky Miggy. Unlucky.
Yeah.
Miggy.
Oh, it was a good shot as well. Unlucky. Clips the bar and bounces out. Or post. So I mean, by all means, go into the the opposing changing room. But I mean, the other thing for me is, like, surely, it's less time spent with the opposing team, given the whole COVID piece as well, and the fact neither him or Solskjaer were wearing masks, and so look, you can have 101 things. But I think Holly's right. Go into the club room afterwards, go and have a pint, have a chat, do whatever. But I think it was absolutely disrespectful. I think the press conference this week, the daffodils and everything else, the first thing he reminded me of was Cantona with the whole, when the seagulls follow the trawler and all that kind of nonsense. Does he get irked when the reporters get at him? He does, but I think deep down, I don't think he's got the mental facility to be able to understand, and I don't think he gets the fact that he pissed the fans off, and I don't really think he cares, because if he did, then he wouldn't have given the players the following day off. He would have had them back in work in the training ground. So to take your point about work, yeah, if I did something like that, I'd either be hauled up, or I'd be back in the following day expecting to perform better. And Bruce doesn't seem to do any of those things. So look, I think his time will come. I don't think Ashley's going to get rid of him. I think we've seen that where, one above bottom three. He's obviously not going to change that up. He obviously feels that there's still something in the takeover despite everything that's been going on. And, the US reports yesterday, Chris's pals releasing stuff and upsetting the apple cart over in Washington. But, yeah, look, the man's a clown, and the quicker he's gone, the better. So,
yeah, I agree. I think we're approaching Joe Kinnear levels of PR unawareness, I think, at this point with Bruce, and there's no excuse for it. He's been around long enough to know better, hasn't he? But he doesn't know better. It seems to me like he's just happy to be kind of on the scene, like mingling with these managers and mingling with people and talking and getting interviewed about the opposition team.
I'm sure he gets up every day realizing if you think about it, really, he's on a hiding to nothing, because he gets sacked, he gets a payout. He gets let go, he gets a payout. Whichever way, he's making money every time he walks through the door. So, I'm sure he got a chunk from Sheffield Wednesday when Ashley paid $4 million to take him away from there. He's a multi-millionaire. It's not like he needs the money. So I'm sure he's wandering every day thinking, how lucky he is. But I think as per a lot of the shows that we've been on, I think Pete made a really good point last week, is that he's just a dying breed of managers, the likes of Allardyce and a few others that their time is gone, and he's just one of a few who are lingering on, unfortunately. But
come on, keep playing.
We are where we are.
Is there a chance, guys? Someone want to talk me through it? I'm about 30 seconds behind.
Yeah, Miron just put the ball into the box. Nice clip ball to the back post. I think Joe Linton's got it with the keeper. The ball just then fell into the box with no one around it, and we've just kind of just stopped playing. We've not tried to press the ball because it wasn't a foul on the keeper. Joe Linton had full right to go for the ball. But yeah, it came to nothing now. Wolves are on the attack. Interestingly, though, Adama Traore is actually playing on their left-hand side, so going up
against Kraft.
So he's going up against Kraft. But Kraft, interestingly, in my opinion, I think he started quite well. And he's dealt with everything so far. So fingers crossed.
Pete, did you see Kraft there go shoulder to shoulder with Adama Traore just then?
Yeah, he's got no chance. But you know what? I admire the bravery of actually putting himself in that position.
What are your thoughts on all that debacle this week, Pete, that we've been talking about? It seems to me like if I was making comments like that, you'd think I was trying to get myself sacked. Is that what he's hoping for? Is that his way out? Because it doesn't seem to me like he wants to be here, but at the same time, he doesn't want to walk.
I tweeted about it earlier on this week, the other day. It might have even been yesterday, I can't remember. But just about Bruce, is he really that stupid, or is he just trying to give another reason for him to be sacked and to be given his pay? Look, you made a point at the beginning before we went round about his press conferences getting weirder and weirder, and you're right. And the reason that they're getting weirder and weirder, in my opinion, is because he's in new ground, because he's still in a job. Because he wouldn't, in any other club at any other time, he wouldn't have still been in a job right now. So actually, his playbook of excuses and comments that he would make have run out. They've literally ran out, because normally he would have been gone by now. When he would have had his pay, he'd have been probably gone off watching cricket somewhere around the world where he'd rather be, rather than managing a club. He doesn't want to be manager of Newcastle. He's had enough. And I think his press conference, and I watched it, I saw the press conference, it smacks of a person that is ready to leave. I honestly, regardless of where we finish, whether we get relegated or not, I honestly believe he will not be manager of Newcastle come the start of next season. Whether the media guys tell us that he will or won't, I don't think he's going to want to go through come August 52,000 fans baying for his blood on the first game of the season or second game of the season, because that's exactly what would happen, regardless of what happens between now and August. The fans don't want him, and it is blatantly clear. And the only reason he's sticking out right now is because, like tonight, there was no one in the ground. And that's the only reason he's still in the job. With regards to his response, I thought it was rude. I thought it was disrespectful, the way that he responded to the reporter when the reporter just asked a genuine question, not in a horrible and nasty way. It wasn't a Craig Hope or anyone that he's had a run-in with. It was a different reporter, but the reporter just asked the general question about the fact that the fans weren't happy that he was smiling, walking off with the Solskjaer. What are your thoughts? And he just jumped on him. And I think he jumped on him to make a point. It was to make a point to the other reporters not to ask me any more questions about this. And I think that's why he was so aggressive in his response to that particular reporter. And I thought it was really, really poor, unprofessional, and the smacks of a typical Steve Bruce, if I'm honest with you. The Daffodil comment, for me, was just a deflection. The Daffodils comment was a deflection because he wanted that to be the headline rather than him being rude and disrespectful or unprofessional to another reporter. So everyone was then commenting on this Daffodil nonsense rather than the fact that actually he's been really unprofessional and really rude for no reason whatsoever to a reporter that was just asking a genuine question on behalf of his newspaper and the fans. So that was what I got from his press conferences, but he doesn't know how to talk to people. And for someone that keeps smacking on that he's been in the game 40 odd years, he still doesn't know how to communicate with people on a professional level. And that just says to me, how the hell has he been able to be a manager? Just my last point. You talked about him walking off and smiling with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I was one of those in the panel last week that was pissed off about it. But for me, it was like I said. I said it before. Man United is home. Newcastle's not his home. He doesn't care about Newcastle. He doesn't care about the city. He doesn't care about the clubs. He doesn't care about the fans. All he cares about is his money, and he just wants his money in gone. And when he does go, he won't come back to Newcastle. He won't come back to the city. He'll have no interest in what Newcastle do, because before he was manager of Newcastle, he had no interest in what Newcastle were doing, or the fans, or the city, even before then. That's just sort of my take on the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer thing. He was just more than happy to be back in and around his mates, and the fact that he was so defensive of that smile says to me he was more interested in supporting and backing his friend Solskjaer at Man United than he was actually his club and his players and his fans about another shocking defeat. And yeah, that's it.
Liam, it popped up on the screen there that Sky Sports showed that Bruce is only the 7th manager to manage plus 400 games in the Premier League. Should we expect better from him? Should he know better?
Of course. Stealing a living. Absolutely stealing a living. He is. As a football manager, not just a Premier League.
Lads.
Another good chance.
ASM kind of coming in from the left-hand side towards the box. Great save. Shot in. Patricio saves it. Yeah.
Anyway, about Steve Bruce, 400 games, in charge of, was it just in the Premier League or just in general?
Premier League.
In the Premier League,
yeah. 400 Premier League games.
I don't really know at the end of the day. It was a smile. A smile can mean loads of different things. I think maybe it got blown out of proportion. I do understand that the situation that we're in. But, at the end of the day, everyone smiles, don't they? And maybe he's just trying to make light of a bad situation. But I think the way that he sort of reacted to the reporter was quite bad. I've just seen the Joe Linton chance as well. That was a good save from Patricio. Yeah. No, I do understand why people can get annoyed with it. But, I don't know. I just feel like it's been blown out of proportion a bit too much. At the end of the day, this is Steve Bruce's dream job. I know people might think otherwise, but it is his dream job. This is what he wants to do.
Right.
Fuck's sake.
He messing.
Donkey.
Jesus Christ. That is the worst cross I've seen in a long time.
Ever.
Maybe one side of his hair is a bit heavy. Maybe needs a trim again, kind of off balance him or something there.
Wait till you see this cross, Dave. Jesus Christ. I hope that went for a corner. I'm assuming it didn't.
No. It was just shit.
We'll be honest, eh? So
that was horrendous.
We've had a decent start to the game, guys. We've had a couple of decent chances. Guys, is there any? Are we allowed to have any cautious optimism at this early stage? Do you think?
Yeah, I'm just looking at their kick out. It's very weird. Patricio and the three around him for the kick out. But anyway, we're on doing well actually. We've had the share of the possession, I think, and we
74%. 74%.
Go on,
give it.
Yeah! Offside.
Shit.
Willock should have scored though. Willock should have scored. He should have touched it.
Yeah,
he should have buried it.
Yeah, he should have.
Yeah.
Max
Great build-up play, though. Great build-up play.
Yes, yeah.
Max is on fire today. It sounds like, guys. Well, from what I've seen so far, I haven't seen that chance yet. But Richie, are you optimistic given what we've seen so far?
It's been a really positive start for Newcastle. It was a bit like what when we played Southampton last time. The first half we were really, really dominant, but I think we just need to take some of these chances. Willock should have scored there. If I'm honest with you, he just didn't break it well enough. That was all. But one thing I have noticed, Patricio doesn't look sound in goal tonight. He's palming a lot of the balls out and stuff. So we need to be in on the follow up for the second chance, a bit like Maxi was there. Just unfortunately, he'd obviously when you do these little trickery, these little runs through to create the space for Willock's shot. Obviously, he just kept on going, was a couple of yards offside, but really, really promising by the lads, and we've definitely got to start making one of these chances count, because with the pace that they've got on with Neto and Traore, they're always going to be dangerous on the counter, especially with the amount of possession that we're actually having for a change.
They don't look settled at the back, Wolves, though, Richie. Looking at them there, they look nervous whenever ASM or Miggy or I was going to say Joelinton, not Joelinton, let's take him out. When the other lads are running at them, they don't seem quite set and kind of settled.
If Fraser was on the right, they would just be torturing them completely.
Yeah,
this is a game when once again, it's a defense which has got no pace in it. If we had Fraser on the right, we've got our forward line is so fast. We've said numerous times that those three attackers, no matter what formation, whether you play it with like a 4-2-3-1 or even with the three up top as it now with Miggy at the top, tip it down. There's so much pace.
We're going again. It'll
cause nothing but trouble.
Goal,
whoever defends
pass it off.
Yeah, and I think we have to get something this half, lads, because Wolves aren't going to be as poor in the second half. This is, with all the chances we're getting now, we need to take something.
I was going to say, Chris, is this one of those games where we have a slew of chances and then we don't end up taking one? I think I haven't seen this many shots, certainly on not any games that I've watched for the past couple of weeks. I haven't seen this many chances at all.
7 attempts, 75% possession for us so far.
Yeah, do you know what? It's been a great start. It's been pleasing. The camera flew over to Bruce earlier. Bruce was giving Maxi and Lewis some instructions, which was nice to see. It was nice to see that he was, actively taking part in the game, as he doesn't always do. And Graham Jones was there alongside him doing the same separately with I forget who it was, but he was talking to someone anyway. Oh, it was Hayden. Yeah, it was Hayden. But yeah, it's been a really promising start. We just need that ball in the back of the net, don't we? I mean, the tails are up, and we just need to take advantage of this now. One thing I have noticed, and I don't know if you've all picked up on it, but I don't know whether Shelby's creating a bit more room for himself or that Wolves just aren't marking him. But Shelby seems to have, he seems like he's got the run of the park today. He's got loads of room.
Midfield, Chris.
It's what, sorry?
It's because they've only got two in midfield. So they've got Moutinho and Neves. And because we're playing with Hayden, Shelby and Willock in there.
You've got a spare body.
We've got the spare man. So if you look, when the game pans out, you'll look that Hayden will go left. Willock will tend to go right.
Go on, Maxi. It's it.
Oh, come on.
It's taking too long.
Too slow first time,
I just want to cut in here and say this game has got a very I don't know if anyone saw the Leeds versus Wolves game earlier this season. It's got the vibe of that game so much. That game finished 1-0 to Wolves. And, Wolves were soaking up the pressure.
Great tackle, Miggy.
Yeah. And, Leeds had so many chances in the first half, and then Wolves got that goal in the second half. This has got that vibe today, and I'm feeling a bit nervous because of that.
Liam, it's exactly the same as the West Brom Brighton game earlier on today. Brighton, I don't know if anyone watched the game, but according to the stats, over the last 3 games, Brighton have had 65 attempts on goal, over 20 shots. I'm talking about what scored 1.
Their XG was about 7, something like that. 7.3 was their XG. Crazy.
We've got to start taking some of these chances, or Wolves are a lot more dangerous than what West Brom were today for Brighton. So, but
he's down. Yeah, he doesn't look good here.
No.
Can we Fraser on?
He's tracked back fantastically, but I think he's
his leg. He's dragged his leg, hasn't he?
Yeah, his right leg.
Right leg is kind of jarred on the foot as he's gone down, I think, here.
He would be a big loss if he is injured for any period of time.
I've been really impressed with him.
Oh, we're okay. We've got Hendrick.
I think he'd be Fraser on, wouldn't he? If he's got a replacement.
You'd have to if he
You'd
goes
like
out.
to think so, but now surprises you with Bruce.
He's up on his feet.
Good man,
he looks all right.
Yeah, he'll try and run it off. Yeah.
Chris, what are your thoughts so far? We've had plenty of chances, plenty of possession. probably one of the more positive halves that I've seen. I don't want to jinx anything because when I do, we normally concede. But what are your thoughts so far, Chris?
Yeah, it's a hell of a game to be on the Sky Go where I'm 13 behind. It's sort of feel like every 30 seconds there's another
Yeah, I'm with you.
near miss or near goal, what do you want to say? I don't recognize a Newcastle club that has 75% possession. It seems to be more a fluke more than any kind of game plan drawn up by Bruce. I mean Graham Jones. So it's positives that we've had the chances, but back to that final third conversion. We've got to convert when you've got a clear shot at goal. You've got to put it in the back of the net, and Willock should have done better. It's just positive signs, but we need to see more finishing.
What are your thoughts so far? It's been a really bright start.
No idea.
Wolves just hit the post.
I'll lead.
It's getting nervy.
Yes, as Chris said, we need some finishing. We need some toes, strong toes to shoot strongly. And I wish if just take Joelinton off and put Carroll or Murphy, or Fraser, it's gonna be much better because Joelinton he's a weight. We're doing great tonight, but we need the finishing thing, the toes thing.
Holly, have you been impressed so far with the start?
Yeah, it's been a very good first half so far. We should have buried one of our chances by now. I hope that was scored before the second half, because if we don't, I could see them maybe coming back into the game in the second half once they've had a chance to recollect themselves. So fingers crossed we'll manage to get a goal in. I think Almiron's played really well. I think we've been decent.
Martin, Wolves haven't started yet, have they? They're not at the races today yet. It seems like they haven't got out of first gear. Is this our best chance to get ourselves in front? Do you foresee it being a different second half, maybe?
Yeah, I think they've been poor, Nathan, to be honest. Not really too much from them. They don't seem balanced at the back. Traore and Neto haven't been allowed to get into, I suppose, because we've been attacking, which is obviously one of the things I said at the start. If we can attack and keep the high press, they won't get forward. But yeah, I can't imagine them kind of being as bad maybe second half, but I think that's down to our performance. So we just got to keep doing what we're doing. I think, with a couple of the chances that we've had, I think if you have Wilson in that front line with those chances, you're probably 2-0 up. As the boys said, Willock should have probably scored. And then between Miggy and ASM, we probably had another couple of chances we should have put through, and then obviously one off the post. So, yeah, look, hopefully we get a couple more opportunities and we can put one in. But just keep playing with the same intensity and the same press. Wolves don't get to come out, so just keep playing the same way.
Pete, Wolves have got a very Newcastle United look about them so far this half. What do we need to do differently to get to break these down? We've had a few good chances now. Is it start finishing letting us down?
That's the only thing that's let us down, in my opinion. Wolves are on the ball now a little bit the last 2 or 3 minutes, but we've been by far the best team, in this half. And the possession stats, the chances created, the chances on target, it all backs that up. The worry is that we've not put the ball in the net. I'm always there now. This is the thing, and we did this against Palace. We started really, really strong. Luckily, we got the goal then, but then we just tailed off, and we just allowed them to come back in the game. And you can't do that with Wolves. Wolves don't look great. They don't look great. They look like that they haven't got really many ideas, but we've just allowed them back into the game the last 3 minutes. Why? Because the intensity's dropped. So Miggy's still running himself into the ground, but then you've got Joelinton, you've got St. Maximin, you've got Willock, you've got Shelvey, you've got Hayden that are not pressing in the same way as they were 10 minutes ago. And that's the difference. If you're going to disrupt Wolves, if you're going to create chances the other way, you have to be intense and press. And we're not in a position to drop off in this game because you're going to allow them in. So I've been really, really pleased with what I've seen bar the last sort of 3 or 4 minutes. We need to score. We ain't gonna get the chances to take 1 or 2 touches in the box before we shoot. We've got to be in a position where we're taking it first time, and we're not, and that's let us down massively. This game is even more so here to win than I thought before the game started. We have got a great chance of getting something tonight, and we cannot waste it or play stupid little football around our own goal.
Yeah, I think you're right, Pete. That high press really falls down, though, doesn't it? When 1 or 2 players stop doing it, then it's entirely pointless.
And this is the problem. So, like, you look at the likes of Shelby, you look at the likes of Hayden or Joe Linton, and they can only do it for a certain amount of time. So, if you are going to start them, you've got to be prepared to take them off at 50, 60 minutes and bring someone on that's going to continue that way, because that's the only way you're going to get points in the game, playing the way that we are. So, it's something we need to change. But I just wanted to add with regards to Richie's point. He was talking about how the Wolves' defence isn't or doesn't look great. Now you've got two sort of fullbacks
or for God's sake.
You've got 2 fullbacks or wing backs that don't like to defend, and then the key to it all. And I really like Connor Cody. I think he's a fantastic centre back, but he is not the same player when Willy Boley's not in the team. Willy Boley is the best and the most critical centre back at their club, and they play a lot differently when he's in the team. So he's a massive miss for them. And when he's not in the team, that's when they concede more goals. So that's why they look a lot more open than previously. And we need to exploit that. And we need to get, for me, I think we need a goal before half time, because they won't come out as bad as they've been. Although we've made them that bad, they won't come out that bad in the second half. And I worry then.
Liam, there's a comment from John in the chat saying that if Wilson was playing, we'd be 2-0 up by now. Do you agree? And what are your thoughts so far?
Yeah, I think I would agree. Wilson is a very good striker. Well, we know that he's very good at finishing. He's a poacher as well. He scores a lot of just like easy tap-ins and things like that. He keeps himself on side as well when he can. In regards to this game, I think the comment that you see there now from Golf and Geordie says that all Wolves are really getting into this game. The last 5 minutes we have been on the ropes without a doubt. We really need to take our chances, and that is just the main thing, because it's looking like how it looked against Crystal Palace. I know, Pete, you mentioned it before. It's like Palace once again. And I think, Rich, in the Palace game, you said that we got raffed by the Palace, and I think this is the same case here today. It's unfortunate to see, because, the game is there for the taking, as Lascelles gives away a pretty cheap free kick. But I don't know. We'll just have to see. Half time is looming, but God, just if we took them chances, I'd feel a lot more confident than I am right now. Sorry,
it's going to be a pen. Here we go. It's going to be a pen.
Oh,
VAR. It's going to be a pen. That.
Sorry, I keep turning my camera on and off as well because
that one there is exactly the same as Eric Dyer.
Yeah, exactly, Pete. Exactly.
Sorry.
Give it.
Sorry.
Well, his arm was up.
It was.
No pen.
Actually, did they not change the law on that?
Yeah, they might have done actually. Yeah, I think you're right. Isn't it got to be? It's got to be. There's got to be intent there. Yeah. Or if it bounces off, it doesn't count because it's bounced off.
It came from behind them.
You're right. I'm sure they changed the law.
So approaching the end of the first half, Daz, who stood out for you so far?
ASM, I suppose. He's been a bit tricky, like breaking into the box and putting in a pass or getting on the end of one that he was offside. Who else? I suppose that really ASM. Yeah, so far in it. Yeah, that's really the one that stood out for me. But I agree. I just back to the question that you asked Liam actually about if Wilson was playing. I could see us being 1-0 up, but maybe not 2.
And so you can still keep to your 1-1 prediction. Is that why?
Yeah. That would work too.
Richie, what are your thoughts so far? Who stood out for you in the black and white shirt?
Well, remember what Dar said in ASM. He's literally tormented them down the left-hand side. He moved over to the right-hand side briefly, but wasn't having the same impact. I think Miggy has been outstanding again. He's been running. That press has been there constant. He was lucky with that effort in the first 15 minutes when he hit the post. And obviously Willock's making those runs in, late into the box, which is looking good. And that's probably the three that stand out. But obviously the one surprise we've had is, as we said before, the space that Shelby's got, which is letting us create a little bit more. Obviously at the end of the ball here, he's just spraying it out from the middle to Kraft on the right. Kraft just balls it up anyway. But I would mainly say Miggy and ASM.
Chris, what are your thoughts, mate?
Hayden is playing very far. Sorry, I was just going to say Hayden is playing very far forward now in the last few minutes as well. It's unusual to see him that far up the pitch.
Do you think he's trying to help with the press, though, Daz? That's why they put him a bit further forward with the space that Shelby's got. He's having that more space for his quarterback role, as I like to call it.
Could be.
Go on, Chris. Who stood out for you so far?
Yeah.
For me, mate. Oh, sorry.
No,
sorry,
Chris. You're next. I'm asking anyway. I don't know if it's different for you guys, but that's how I see it.
Yeah.
For me, it's the stand. Well, St. Maximin's been up for it, but for me, the standout, as I said earlier, has probably been Shelby. He's really getting on the ball today. He's putting a graft in. I think Pete said it last week. He's been much improved the last couple of games, albeit I'm not saying he's a superstar, but it's certainly much better than what it's been in previous weeks gone. So I'm pleased with how Shelby's been playing, and I think St. Maximin looks up for it. And I've said this before: if St. Maximin's up for it, we've got a good player in our hands. If St. Maximin isn't quite at it, then sometimes he lets us down a little bit. But it's been a promising first half. I would have liked to have seen a goal before half time. We've still got 4 minutes for that to happen, but because I do think that Wolves are going to come out second half probably a different animal. But let's hope that we can make a couple of changes at half time. I think the shape of the team's been fine. It's worked well this half, but as the lads have said, it's to do with the intensity. I don't want Bruce waiting until 60, 65 minutes. If something's not working, let's just make the change now, get some fresh legs on and try and, really, really push and go for that goal. I think my prediction was 1-0, wasn't it? And I stand by that. My only concern is that obviously, it could go 1-0 either side the way it's looking.
There's another yellow coming.
He loves to flash that yellow.
Who's that for?
Clark taking Traore down in full flow.
This is perfect. Ruben Neves' position. This is.
Like to be fair with Traore there, low Pete. Like, what do you do with him?
Yeah.
Like when he's in full flow, you either stop him or he goes past you.
They need to be doubling up. So look,
he can't go left or right. Exactly.
He loves to run with the ball. So look, he's managed. Willick tried to do well to knock him off his flow, and he did to a certain extent. But Clark hesitated and then went and was not going to get anywhere near the ball. But what he needed to do is usher him away from goal, because there was another player, and I'm not sure if it was Lewis or Lascelles that was coming round, that if he'd have knocked him off his stride, could have then come and sweep the ball up. But instead, he's just gone and took him out. And this is not a position where you would want either Matinho or Ruben Neves to be taking a free kick from, because just like Ward-Prowse, this is perfect positioning for him. And the last thing you want to be doing with 2 minutes before half-time is conceding a goal to a team that haven't really played that well. So that's my biggest worry now, and hopefully it comes to nothing. But look, I mean, playing on the left-hand side, that he's now going to then just cut inside all the time. So you need to be managing your system to combat that, and we haven't. Well, certainly in the last 5 or 10 minutes anyway.
Chris, who stood out for you so far in this first half?
I was going to say add to the St. Maximin chorus, but I'll say that I'm just happy to see Dubravka back in the nets. It's not just his saving ability; he's that real controlling the defense from the back line, that sweeper keeper type guy that as much as Darlow has skills at saving great saves. He just doesn't have that extra ability that Dubravka has.
No way.
Wait, there's something wrong with that.
Ah, come on.
There's no way a free kick. No way.
He runs into Willock.
Nothing wrong with that. Nah.
Oh, give out.
Jesus.
That's a
Do you want to talk us through,
soft
Chris? What happened?
Yeah, so basically, Dama Traore was running with the ball, and he changed direction, and Willock basically predicted what he was going to do, and Willock went shoulder to shoulder with him, and Dama Traore surprisingly hit the deck, and Mike Dean just blew up for the free kick to Wolves. But yeah, it didn't, as you can tell by the rest of the panel, didn't look like a free kick to me. That
It didn't. It was Traore bounced off Willock. Like Willock was built like Traore.
Yeah, he did. Didn't he? Yeah. Traore's really coming into this game now, though. He's starting to play a bit more central, and he's causing us all kinds of problems.
Yeah, but if you look at this,
oh Jesus!
Blowing up ref for halftime.
If you were to rewind that back and look at that passage of play, look how lazy Hayden is in his tracking back. Willett has ran 5 yards. He was 5 yards behind him and ran 10 yards in front of him to track the man who eventually got the ball. Hayden,
Go on, Maxi.
Hayden's not done anything. He's literally just jogging back. Even Shelby's busting a gut to get back into position.
Yeah.
And you cannot afford to do that. You cannot afford to do that. In this system, with this intensity and this way of playing, you cannot just be jogging back. That was where it all came about, because it was on Hayden's side. Hayden's side of pressing in the midfield. That's where it came from. Not working harder.
Good job. You can't shoot for shit.
If he could, he wouldn't be there though. He wouldn't be
2 minutes of added time, nearly up now.
Yeah,
I guess
he's definitely become more central, isn't he?
Before the end.
Oh,
that was so close as well. Clark just gets a tiny
touch by Clark. Yeah, he did. It makes a difference.
To be fair, it was going straight to Kraft, but even that's not a positive, because you never know.
That could have been an own goal.
No.
It was a hell of a ball by Neto, man. That's the sort of ball that we haven't played in the final third.
Yeah, because we haven't got any runners that make that
half
run.
Time, Ned.
Wilson makes that run.
Yeah.
Cheers, Martin. So as we go into half time, Daz, we'll start back around again. What's your summary on the first half performance? Plenty to be happy about, but a bit of a worrying end. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, no, we started really well, and for the first, I'd say 30 minutes, 35 minutes, like we're definitely on top. Wolves have come into it in the last 10, 15 minutes, and that has to be the worry in the second half. I think as a few of us said, that the worry now is that we didn't take those chances, and it picks up where it's just left off there in the second half. I think then we'll get to 65 minutes here, and then we'll start thinking about a sub. And it'll be Fraser probably that'll come on, and I'm not sure who will come off. I'd like to see him take off Joe Linton, but it might be someone else. Even if it's stayed as it is now, 0-0 and a draw, I take that. But the game is also there for the taking, though. If we come out like we did in the first half.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree. Slow to start, but hopefully we need to get that momentum and get that pressure back when we start the second half. Richie, what are the three Steves and Graham Jones saying to the guys at half time?
I think they'd have to say really, what Graham Jones will be saying to the lads at half time is that replicate that first half an hour. They've got to try and keep that press going, because when it was working in that first half an hour, Wolves were all over the place. They couldn't play out from the back. They were struggling with a bit nerves and stuff from the back, playing the ball out. They were making a little bit of mistakes. So as soon as that press stopped, and then they started giving the ball to Neto and Traore, they were then putting us on the back foot, which is why we picked up a couple of bookings towards the end and given away a few silly mistakes, because Traore seems to have moved into the middle, and he's running at where Shelby and where Hayden is and where Clark and Lascelles are. So they're having to make a tackle to stop them going literally straight through, like a hot knife through butter. To be fair, I think the four main players are the ones I think we would have thought. Miggy and ASM for us, and Neto and Traore for them. Very, very similar skill set of players. I just hope that with the amount of possession that we had and chances, we need to keep that going from the start of the second half, and we've got to take at least one of those chances.
Chris Hall, are we going to rue those missed chances, do you think?
I hope not, mate. I've just been looking at the stats. So we ended up with 55% possession. We had 4 shots on target to Wolves' 2. And we had 2 shots off target to Wolves' 4. I mean, Wolves were creeping back into it in that first half. And, you know, my biggest concern looking at the lineup, and I never thought I'd say this, but I think maybe take Hayden off and perhaps bring on Hendrick. Because at least with Jeff Hendrick, you know he'll put a shift in, albeit I know he's got his doubters out there. I think on the very first game of the season when we beat West Ham 2-0, I remember telling the panel, you know, that that is probably the best we'll see of Jeff Hendrick, and I believe it has been. But you know, we need in this team, in this formation, we need legs and we need people to put the effort in and put a shift in. And I'm worried now, you know, as Pete said earlier, that, you know, perhaps Hayden's suffering with that knock he had on early on, and he's got that yellow card. And I think Wolves are just going to keep pushing and keep pressing, especially with Adama Traore. And they're probably going to say, "Listen, just keep going in and around Hayden because he's likely to slip up." And if we go down to 10 men, it's not going to be good. So for me, this second half, I'd be looking maybe at bringing Hendrick on for Hayden, possibly Sean Longstaff if you wanted to maybe drop Shelvey into the deeper position and put you know, Sean Longstaff within the centre with Joe Willock. But and I'd also, I say this most weeks, but I'd be taking Joe off because, you know, with this press, Joe's really not doing what we need him to do up top. He's not keeping the ball. He's not you know, pushing the boundaries, you know, stretching the lines. He's just, the ball's bouncing off him, and you know, he's trying. The effort's there. He's trying, but it's not working for him. I'd rather have Ryan Fraser up there, who's got that bit of pace with St. Maximin and Almiron, cause him a few problems that way. See Martin with his side up again. But yeah, I you know, when I went on a long walk today, you know, to try and get a bit of fresh air and clear my head and stuff before the match tonight, and you know, I kept saying to myself, as long as we end up leaving tonight with at least a point. And the biggest thing for me was the performance. I wanted good performance. Now, if the game was to end now, I'd be happy with the points and I'd be happy with the performance. If the second half replicates that and we see the effort, the endeavour, the, you know, the performance continuing how it is, I'll be reasonably happy. And also, you know, it'll put us 4 points clear of that drop zone. So maybe, you know, mentally, you know, that might be a hammer blow to Fulham, because they know even if they win tomorrow against Palace, they're still not going to be out of that drop zone. So I think it's integral that we get that point tonight at least. But yeah, big opportunity for us second half, and I just want us to go out there and just try and do it, because it's going to be a tight game. It looks a bit like a 0-0, I've got to say, but you know, 1-0 either side, you know, could still happen. But yeah, come on, Bruce, let's get these changes made early in the second half.
I was going to say the exact same thing at the end of what Chris Hall said, that this has a look of a 0-0 draw. You know, I don't see Wolves scoring. So if there's going to be a goal, it should be on our side. You know, fair play to the lads for getting the advantage in possession. Again, that doesn't happen very much with this squad. And Wolves look beatable. It's just a question of whether Newcastle can convert those chances, or whether they're going to continue to pile up shots on goal without converting into goals. So hopefully Bruce makes some, you know, his patented 60+ minute subs, and we have an exciting final third of the match. But I'm not expecting Bruce's tactics to make the difference. And so the squad we've got, I think, is more or less the squad that will see out the match, and we'll see if they can knock one through.
All right, cheers, Chris. Alwaleed, what were your thoughts on the first half, and what changes are you making if you're Mr. Bruce for the evening?
the thing I'm sad about, I think we can make the game easier, much easier, if we just get Joelinton off. But we keep saying Wilson. I know Wilson is the number one center forward, but we still have Carroll, and he's ready for the game. Gale as well. And instead of Joelinton, to get a chance to get the opportunity to make a good shot on target, because as we see, same thing with Manchester United happened, but maybe in the lower level. Once we get once we get back and breathe, we take a minute for a breathe, we receive a strong attack from Wolverhampton, and I'm gonna tell you, one of these strikes we are gonna concede a goal if this continue. And for the middle field, Hayden, I think he's booked. We need to refresh. This is for sure. We all agree on that, because it's very hard to play. If the players are tired, this is more chance to mistake to happen. Even if the player in the bench is less value, less skills, but at least his power is 100%, and this is what we need to get something from this game.
Cheers, pal. Holly, a good first half, I like to think. Were you happy with it? What changes would you make?
Yeah, we certainly started well the first 35 minutes. Based on that, I think there's no reason why we couldn't go on to try and get all 3 points. In the last 10 minutes or so, Wolves did seem to be coming back into the game, which was my worry. It did worry us that we didn't put away any of the chances, because I said earlier on that I wanted us to score before the second half so that we already had a lead, because they can quite easily step up their game and come back into it in the second half, which I hope doesn't happen. I just hope that we continue how we've been playing, and I hope that we'll make some early subs. I'd like to see us bring a few more attacking players on, take Joelinton off. Probably, I said I would probably start Carroll, but I think I would rather bring Gale on at this point, just because I'd feel more comfortable with him being able to put away a chance than Carroll would. Ryan Fraser could be a shout to bring on, and even Jacob Murphy. I just want to see us go for it a bit more. Almiron was the standout player for me, which is the same for most weeks, because I always think he puts in so much effort, and St. Maximin was making it hard for the Wolves side, so he's been good. We've been all right in defence, but yeah, it's certainly a lot better than I thought, and hopefully we can go on to get all 3 points in the second half.
Hopefully. Martin, Chris Hall was saying that he felt like Jeff Hendrick was the answer to this game. Do you agree?
If he's saying Jeff Hendrick is the answer, I'm asking what's the question. Do you know what? I think the half has been okay. I think the only question I've got is kind of certainly the last 20-25 minutes of that, Joelinton was kind of on the right. So if that's the case, who's up front? Is it just ASM or is it Miggy? I'm kind of slightly confused as to who the central two are, because Joelinton seemed to be further out. Miggy seemed to be further forward. And as Dad's pointed out, at one point, Hayden was kind of further up, interchanging with Willock. So I'm not quite sure who the front two are, if it is a two. I think if you were going to change, I don't think Joelinton has really offered that much. So given the chances we're creating and kind of the ball into the box, you know, ASM's trickery, I think you're probably more likely to get something with a Gale who's a bit of a, you know, fox in the box as such. So he would probably be my change. I'd like to see Fraser on that right, maybe instead of Almiron, instead of Joelinton, sorry, because I think, you know, that might just preoccupy Wolves a bit more. We're not really troubling them down that right. So I would maybe make that change. But I think for now, I think the best thing to do is just let's wait till about 65 minutes. I think that's about a good time to look at maybe changing things up and see what we do there. I wouldn't want to do anything till about 65, 67. I think let's just hold as we are now.
Seems like a good time.
It's a perfect time. Yeah, it's a great number. It's a good number.
Pete, last time we were on together, you were very critical of Dwight Gale. Do you want to see him come on tonight, or do you never want to see him ever again?
I'm not really too fussed if he doesn't play for us again. I only want players that are committed and are giving 100% for the club. And for me, Dwight Gale isn't doing that at the moment. I think it's been widely documented by a number of media sources over the last week or so that he, and I think I mentioned it about 3 weeks ago, he smacks of someone that's already told Steve Bruce that he's not signing a new contract. And when we were all talking over the Christmas period about where's Gale, why is he not playing? I think I said it even back then that, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if he goes in January or he's told them that he's not signing a new contract as to why he's not playing. And, you know, if you've got someone that's got that mentality, then I'm not for me. You know, equally you could say about Fabian Schär, who I don't think has any intentions of staying with us, although he's injured now. He actually put in some good performances, so he was still fighting for the cause. So you admire that. But for me, no. I think we're effectively not playing with the strikers. I think it was Yano that mentioned when I talked about the lineup. I think I'd said that Joe Linton was on the right when I actually meant the left, because he actually plays a lot of his football. Sorry, I think I'd said left and I meant right, because he plays a lot of his football on the right hand side, because the one that's meant to be the striker, like Callum Wilson, tends to play off the right hand side and make those diagonal runs into the box. Dwight Gale can't do that. So you're better off playing a Ryan Fraser or even a Jacob Murphy, someone with a little bit of pace that can run at players. But for me, the talk about taking Hayden off, I'd be bringing Sean Longstaff on. Sean Longstaff's still got a role to play, you know, in this team. And if we're still fighting for a goal, you know, who better on the edge of the box to be picking up the ball than Sean Longstaff, because the boy can find the net. And we need any type of goal scorer we can at the moment in this team whilst Callum Wilson's out to get us something. And if he has had an argument with Steve Bruce, this is his perfect opportunity if he comes on to give him the two fingers to say, you know what, I'm still here. I'm still here and I'm playing for the club that I love and I was brought up around. So for me, that would be a no-brainer. I worry about Clark, you know, on a yellow, because he can be quite rash at times. So he's going to have to play a very guarded game. In the second half, we're going to have to hope that we're attacking more than they are. But look, you know, the game's still here. You know, if you ask me now, I'd take a point, like Chris said. I'd snap your hand off for a point and put that little bit of pressure back onto Fulham going into tomorrow. But look, I'm here for the 3 points ultimately, and they're still here to be won. Looks like Fraser's on. Hopefully for Joe Linton, but I'm worried it might be from Almiron. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you imagine it'd be an injury, Pete, because he never makes a sub this early.
Yeah. So,
Almiron.
Yeah.
So there's something not right there, and that's a worry. That's a big worry. That changes things, because, you know, one of the things with Miggy Almiron, and actually going back to the Shelvey, I don't know if any of you have listened to his podcast where he talks, John Joe Shelvey. One of the things that he made clear is that Almiron is so crucial to the team because he sets the tempo. His intensity sets the tempo for the team, and he did exactly that at the beginning of this game. You look, when we first kicked off in the first half, he was chasing the defence down, and literally no one else was with him. And he covers so much distance. So that changes things now for the second half. So I'm slightly worried about how this is going to pan out.
Liam, are you worried about losing Almiron? He was fantastic in that first half, wasn't he? Probably everyone's best player.
Yeah, best player on the pitch, in my opinion, Almiron. You know, St. Maximin had moments, but for me, Almiron was the best player on the pitch, and he's playing some of his best football. Although we're not getting results, he's playing individually some of his best football he's played since he joined the club. So hopefully it's a precaution, because we need him for West Brom next week, 100%.
Yeah. You're absolutely right, Pete, when you said, you know, Miggy, he does set the tone, doesn't he? And, you know, it's good that, you know, Shelvey's acknowledging that. And, you know, it absolutely dumbfounded me, you know, all those months back, you know, when people were questioning Miggy being in the team. I mean, he just gives 110% throughout, and he's a real example to the rest of the team. You know, the effort's always there. He's always tracking back. He's always eager to get involved. All right, sometimes his end products, you know, can be a bit questionable, but for all the running he does and, you know, bringing us up the field, he's absolutely fantastic, Almiron.
And you know what? Like, we question his end product, but actually his end product's been decent. I know we hit the post today. His end product's been decent. Normally, when he gets the wrong goal, he 9 times out of 10 puts the ball in the net. So it's about getting him into those positions. I've been convinced, even when he was getting stick, I've been convinced, you put him in a Liverpool, you put him in a team, he would absolutely fly. And we'd all be saying, wow, like, why wasn't he doing that for us? He's not been doing that for us because he's not got like-minded quality players around him. He would absolutely fly. And it wouldn't surprise me if he starts knocking on the door in the summer, you know, regardless of whether we stay in the league or not, and he's asking to leave. If we get relegated, he's gone. He'll be the first out the door, along with St. Maximin. But he's a talented player, and he needed time. He's come from the American League, you know, which is not at the same standard. He needed time, and sometimes as a fan base, we don't give players that. We're very quick. We expect someone like we expect them to hit the ground running, like the likes of Callum Wilson that scored on his debut, and all the rest of it, and we sometimes have that expectancy that, you know, if they don't have a first 2 or 3 games, they're shit. Sometimes players need time, you know, and Almiron needed that time, and he's really settling into the English game now, and he's finding his feet massively.
Thing is, going on what you just briefly saying there, Pete. You know, I've always liked Almiron like you have, but one person who really loves Miggy is Jamie, who's the Man United fan. He waxes lyrical about Miggy. He thinks he's an absolutely fantastic player. We'd love to have him at Man United. So that shows he's a class player. You're right. Yeah.
But other fans see it. You're right. There's so many other fans of other clubs that are around that I speak to, and the 2 people they speak about is St. Maximin and Miggy Almiron. And now even more so Callum Wilson, because they can see quality. They're 3 quality players in our team. Hold on.
I tell you what.
It hits his hand. Oh, they're not giving it.
I know. That was Man United. That would have been a penalty.
Yeah. Right. Any one other than Newcastle, it would have been a penalty.
I'm back. I never left.
We're not bitter at all.
I think that goes back to your point, Pete. You know, when you were saying about the rules changing, it's another one of them where it's hit the player and then bounced up onto the hand, as opposed to if that had hit the hand straight away, it'd have been a penalty. Because it's bounced off its foot.
An overload here on the right.
Get rid. Oof.
Hayden don't look right. Hayden does not look right at all.
His pace has gone there. I think maybe it's off that knock the first half, Pete, but he's not in it at all.
No. He's
miles off.
He's not tracking players. He's slow to track back. If I was him, I wouldn't be looking to get forward. I'd just be sitting in.
I'd sit just in front of the 4.
Yeah.
Break up the play. Doing now.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much like he was in the lineup. So it would be fine for him to sit there, but it's just whether we need Shelby pushing on further on then, because Shelby's likely to, if he can get away with it, he'll drift back into that position, won't he, Shelby, if he can get away with it at all.
Yeah. Well, you want Shelby going further forward, because when he plays,
you don't want him back.
He does actually create chances for the team. So that's what you would want, him playing further forward. But
Come on, Maxi. Oh, corner.
On the ball.
Yeah. I think the two changes I'd look to make going forward. I think you take Joe Linton off and put Gale in the middle, and now you've Gale or Carroll in the middle, and put Fraser on the right rather than playing through the middle like he is now, and bring Hayden off. I'd put Longstaff on, because the amount of times that the wingers have been going down and getting to the byline and pulling the ball back. We know how Longstaff likes to attack the ball. He hits the ball first time. What we would do the first half, the ball was coming back, but we wanted too many touches on the edge of the box to try and get the ball out with our feet. And by that time, the Wolves were closing us down, so we couldn't get the ball away.
Yeah, no, you're right. I'd be thinking Carroll as the game goes on. I'd be thinking Carroll for sure.
Oh, it's a great dig out.
Good ball.
Good ball.
Get it!
Yes!
Get it!
Yourselves, get in
What a
there.
ball!
I still don't like him.
Not my
What a
captain.
ball!
Not my captain.
Get in there. Come
What
on.
a ball that
Come
was
on.
from Fraser. Superb ball.
What a dig out. The dig
Just
out
to-
from Maxi as well, though.
Maxi
Just
was
to run you through,
fantastic.
Nathan. So, say Maximum was on the left. He was ducking and diving. He's done really well. I'm watching it back. He's done fantastic. He's put the ball in, far post. They've headed it out. Ryan Fraser's picked it up on the edge of the right, delivered a fantastic ball. Lascelles has attacked it, near post, bang. Fantastic goal. Fantastic.
Brilliant. Just what we needed, isn't
Maxi's
it?
work.
Good start.
Maxi's
It's
work
one of
on the
the-
dig out, Nate. The first
This is one of the
dig
annoying
out.
things, like one of the annoying things. Like Fraser's probably our best crosser of the ball, and he's
superb.
never used. He's fantastic.
What a fucking
Superb.
goal. Get in there. Come on. Got something to hold now.
Superb.
Seen it now. Fantastic.
Right, come
And that's
on.
all the more reason why the reason why we're all so confused when Bruce has been playing from the game where he played Fraser in centre midfield and that kind of thing. It's one of those things like you just don't understand the decisions. Got these big guys like Pete. I think it was last time we were on Pete. You were saying about the likes of Clark and Lascelles. They're a presence in the air going forward. Clark especially. We never use it. We never use it.
I got the wrong sense back. I said Clark, didn't I? I thought Clark would get the goal, but Lascelles scored against Wolves at home last season.
Yeah.
It was last season at home. He scored a similar goal at the near post. I think Fernandez crossed it in and he got a bullet header. But yeah, you know what? Wolves have come out second half and played exactly the same way as they did in the first half. And they've looked like they're not at the races, but we cannot do what we did against Palace. We have to keep going for them. We need to go for the throat.
You need to go for the second goal.
We get a second goal, this game's done. They won't come back from it. But we have to keep going. We cannot slow it down. Great ball by Fraser, by the way, as well.
I don't know if anyone put there. I saw the replay. Then it showed when the camera went to Bruce on the touchline. It showed Matt Ritchie in the stands who sat there with like a cup of tea, I think, and he was pointing at someone and almost as if to say, "I told you so. I told you, like, get the crosses into the box." And that's
I copped that, Nate. I copped that. I can just imagine Richie saying, "I told you, if you give him the ball, he can cross."
You get him on.
Thing in. I think to take Pete's point, I think it's like anything. We players can play, but I think to your point, Pete, you have to play them in the right positions.
Yeah.
Almiron has started playing better and has been more pivotal for the team because we've played him in the right position. Dead simple. If you play Fraser on that right and you give him the ball in space, he doesn't need necessarily to beat the defender.
Yeah.
He can curl that ball in and around as he did there. So a good winger does not need to necessarily always beat the defender to put a ball in the box.
But going back to your Almiron point, Martin, you're absolutely spot on. But this is why, when we as fans sometimes get confused about why we're not playing Gale or why we're not playing a striker up top or why they're playing on the right-hand side. That's why. It's to accommodate Miggy Almiron because Almiron is better playing through the middle and he's better playing as the man right at the top of that.
I'm loving that.
And that's why. That is why. Now, that discussion there, that Chris said he loved it, and them discussing about what they're going to be doing, that, for me, is Graham Jones. That is Graham Jones implementing.
Go on.
That's a tactic. You know what? It didn't work out, but we've played
a good idea.
4 different corners in this game. We've never done that under Bruce. Never. That is Graham Jones right there, implementing different things into our game to make us not predictable. We are becoming unpredictable under Graham.
I think the thing with that Almiron piece, Pete, is when he plays at the top of that tree, effectively, maybe not with in the current, but with a Wilson there, the thing that does is it frees up Wilson to drift away from defenders because Almiron pulls the defense in a way that gives Wilson space. And he runs a different channel. So the defender doesn't know with Almiron coming through that middle, ASM on the left. They've got no clue which one's going to come tight, which one's going to come short, which one's going to go long. And before you know it, Wilson's in behind and he's either nicked it, got a foot to it, got a head to it. Because they run those channels that create space and pull defenders.
He's so difficult to be marked that way. Callum
Exactly.
Wilson that wide because he drifts. And I remember on the Match Day Live first game of the season when we were all on against West Ham, and we were talking about Callum Wilson's movement and the fact that Carroll was in the middle, in dead centre, occupying the centre backs, and Wilson would just drift out to either wing, and he would just be undetected every time. And this formation doesn't just allow Almiron to make those blistering runs and that high press from the start. It allows exactly what you're saying, Martin. It allows Callum Wilson to come in undetected, and that he's created a lot of chances on the back of that. But he's also been able to get on the end of a few, and he obviously scored the two against Everton as a prime example of that. And this is it. It's about implementing tactics, right? This is the modern football. Modern football, you've not got a straight 4-4-2. Where if you're a striker, you're not just expected to play up there and just occupy the centre backs. You're expected now in the modern game to transition. You look at Man City. Now, Man City are the shining example because they're just an elite football team. But actually, if you look at Man City, they very rarely play with a striker, but they play with forward line that interchanges. And that's what Graham Jones, I think, is implementing into this team. But as a modern player, you have to be able to play in more than one position and in more than one way.
In particular, your wings, it's left going to right going to left, right coming to middle, middle pushing out. The striker, as Wilson does, pushing out right, the left wing coming in. That unpredictability makes it hard for, in particular, like a team like Wolves, who I would imagine part of it in that final third are probably part zonal marking depending on who is moving. So that crossover, which we've not done, and as you said, the unpredictability with the different corners, short corner, long corner, Shelvey pulling back, movement in the box, makes it hard for them to adjust their defence because they don't know what's coming.
They're so static, and Wolves have got away with that because their attacking players always got them out.
Have got them away from it. Yeah, exactly.
But they're being found out defensively because you look at their players on the pitch. You've got Ruben Neves, you've got Moutinho. They're all attacking-minded players. Sometimes sit deep but get forward. You've got Traore. You've got even Semedo is their right wing back, and Johnny on the left. They're all attacking-minded players. So when you're posing different questions from a defensive point of view, they go absolutely dizzy because they're not used to it. They're used to getting their own way, and it was always going to happen with Wolves. I'm not saying we're going to win the game, but what you're seeing now with Wolves in this season is a team that is starting to get found out, and teams are being a lot smarter with them and playing a smart play. But that's why I say we need to keep attacking them. If we keep pushing them back, if they have to keep thinking about their defensive positions and rather than what they're going to do when they get forward, that's going to play into our hands massively.
The thing is, though,
I think that's what we said quite a few times on the show, like Martin and Pete. If we had our front four fit, if we went like a 4-2-3-1, and you have Wilson through the middle, then you have Miggy off him in the middle behind him as like a number 10, and have ASM and Fraser. Wilson can go out onto the wide, creates more space in the middle. The wingers can then come in, and obviously it's so hard to mark. From what you're saying, because the movement, it'll terrorise any single defence. The pace of movement from those front four. But unfortunately, for some reason, Bruce has never ever put them on the pitch really at the same time the whole season.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know how to make it work. You can't just if you've noticed in a lot of our games. Oh, for God's sake! I'm with it. Jesus Christ, what is going on right now? But if you look at a lot of our games, right, that we play when we're chasing a game and Bruce just throws on everybody, there's no tactical awareness of it. There's no structure to the way that we play.
Willock, this is a groin. This is double groins here for Willock and ASM.
Fuck's sake.
Willock.
By the way, boys,
the
start of this second half, by the way, I think Shelvey's been absolutely outstanding. Shelvey has just been everywhere. I mean, if he continues that for the next half hour, it'll be a big plus to us. I think he's been great.
I think he's all right.
We'll be on 60 minutes now, so it's time for substitutions, isn't it? With these injuries, though, maybe they're going to be decided for him. Richie, what do you think? Who's coming on? Who's coming off? Do you think this might be a double here and all our subs used on 60 minutes?
You know what? I think Maxi's going to go off because I've noticed a couple of times the last 5 minutes when we've had them around their box. Hayden's been furthest forward pressing, and he's shouted at Maxi a few times that he should be doing it and it shouldn't be him. I just don't know if it's got to the stage after half time where Maxi hasn't fancied it like he did in the first half. And perhaps obviously now he's got a knock and he's going off, I think.
Yeah,
But hopefully Willock will stay on. But it's who are they going to bring someone like Richie on here, or are they going to put put Fraser onto the left?
ASM signal there. He's done.
Yeah, he did. I don't think he's fancied it, Martin. He had the last 5 minutes or so. He hasn't fancied it.
He may have felt it, though, Rich. He may have felt it, and that's probably why.
Possibly.
Fancied it. But we cannot risk it. We cannot risk him getting injured for a length of time.
No, I would hope that when Miggy went off at half time, obviously he played on. I would have. The only reason why I took a half time, if it's been a precaution, just to protect him, because we know what we've got coming up, and that's what I hope. That's the reason why Miggy came off at half time. But obviously, it looks like Fraser's going to go on the left, and Murphy's going to go on the right now.
That's the right call now.
Yeah, that is 100% Martin. You're right. That is the right one. Yeah. Just because he's got that pace and he's so direct that he's just going to keep their defence guessing all the time. But
to be fair to Murphy, he's not really done that much not to be playing. I think he's been unlucky. To be fair, lads.
Yes, John Joe, superb.
He you know why he's not playing? He had that moment. I think it was it against Leeds where he didn't track back, and they were free at the back post to score that second goal.
Yeah.
And it was shocking defensively. His marking defensively, and I remember saying on the Matchday Live that he shouldn't be in the team after that, and he hasn't been since. But again, he's got his opportunity. I mean, he's another one that's trying to win a new contract, so he's got to make sure that he's putting the effort in and working his arse off to get us the 3 points tonight.
It seems like in previous seasons we've had, well, before Rafa came, we had like tons and tons of injuries, didn't we? Like muscle-related injuries,
soft tissue,
under different managers, and then it seemed to like sort of go away under Rafa almost, or certainly not be as bad as it is. Do you think this is down to like the Bruce's regime and training and that kind of thing? Because it seems like there's so many, like you said, soft tissue injuries, isn't there? What do you think, Chris Hall?
Yeah, it's no coincidence, Snaith. Yeah, it seems to have reared its ugly head again, doesn't it? Because as you say, under Rafa, there was a notable difference. We weren't picking up these injuries, that are so commonly associated with perhaps poor training methods. Because Rafa was all about making sure that everything was right on the training pitch, wasn't he? So you wonder whether perhaps we're not doing the right work, or maybe the players are getting rushed back, or they're being brought back in too soon. So yeah, I'm not surprised, and I think Bruce has got a history of it as well. I'm sure other fans have brought it up and said, it's quite a common theme for Bruce to have so many injuries. I mean, let's hope Maxi's isn't serious. He didn't look great when he was coming off then, but yeah, fingers crossed that he's going to be okay, and perhaps they brought him off before he's done some real damage. But big 25 minutes now for Jacob Murphy to stake his claim for possibly the next match in a big game away to West Brom. But we just got to hang on here and just try and see this game out and get the 3 points.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, does that injury change how we approach this second half now? Are we going to push on for another one, or do you think we're going to sit back now? I'm worried that we're going to sit back, but I don't think that's the right thing for us to do, given how we've seen that tactic play out previously.
Yeah, I'd press for a second. I've always rated Jacob Murphy. When he's had his chance, he more often than not he's done fairly well. We've definitely given him man of the match before a number of times. So I'm happy to see him on there. Obviously, it's a big blow to have Max go off. But I like what Jacob Murphy offers. And some people will say, "Oh, he's not worth the price tag and a bust at that price." But he's still young, and I think he, if you look at the squad going forward. And if the takeover doesn't happen, he's the kind of player that you could continue to invest in, and he could be a solid Premier League player. I think that if the takeover does happen, that he might be one of those that that goes. But fair play to the lad. He's got a set of skills that I think add something unique on the squad.
Liam, are you pleased to see Murphy back on the pitch?
Go on.
Go on, Fraser.
Oh, what?
He wasn't handball, surely.
Oh, play on, Dean, you donkey.
He didn't handball it.
Go on, Martin, give us a run through what's happened. I'm lagging behind.
No, I'm not 100% sure there. There didn't seem too
Didn't
much.
handball.
There didn't. Yeah. Has there been a foul, Jeff?
Well done, mate.
I'm not quite sure what happened there, but I don't think there was too much wrong with it. And Fraser was away with the ball through from Murphy, and he brought it back for what looked like a fairly innocuous, either a tackle or a hand, I think. I'm not sure. Matinho now down on the ground for Wolves. I think he's been shot by the tea lady in row Z.
Kraft down as well.
Like, our injury listing is horrific, how we get so many.
Rafa had a history of having really, really good injury records of next to nothing. And if you remember, there was times, in the Championship, particularly when we come after an international break, where he'd maybe play Mitrovic instead of Gale, and we'd be like, why is he not starting? And it was what he was doing. He was looking at players and knowing when they needed a rest.
Yeah.
And he would rest players, and that was when he would rotate the squad. Didn't matter what game it was, he would always rotate the squad in order to give them a rest, a week's rest, keep them fresh, whether it was on the bench or just drop them completely. And he had a really good knowledge of knowing his players. Bruce doesn't, and I don't think his training helps either. It's been talked about that his training and his injury record, not just at Newcastle but at every club, has not been very good. And I think this is the biggest problem. So where we're used to Rafa Benitez's teams being so dynamic and so fit and so able in the back end of the season, we're now picking up injuries to potentially key players. And this is not what we need right now. With the potential to get 3 points and then another huge game next weekend.
The comment on the screen there, Liam, which I was just going to ask you about. Do you think it's a case that Bruce rushes people back? I think we've seen quite a few people rush back from injury, haven't we? What do you reckon, Liam?
I honestly disagree with that. I think a good example of that was bringing St. Maximin back. If he was rushed back straight away, he would have been starting the games that he came on as in a substitute appearances that he had. I mean,
Richie coming on, lads.
Are there any other sort of examples of people like being rushed back? I don't really think so.
I think when Lascelles came back the other week, for me, he didn't look at it for me the other week.
I think there was a few came back after COVID, Nate, if I'm honest, that weren't ready, and I think we paid the price for that with the likes of Fede and Lascelles, even probably a few games back. I think the other piece, just to jump in, I think to pick up on Pete's bit, the other question I would have, and I think that Rafa did, certainly from stuff that I read, in comparison to maybe other managers, Pete, is I think Rafa managed the medical staff as well.
Yeah.
And he was heavily involved with the medical staff and recuperation and, injury time. And he was focused in so many areas in his attention to detail. I think that the medical team improved, whereas I would probably think, other than Bruce asking the medical staff how long before I can play him, I wouldn't say he's got a great in-depth knowledge of medical or recoveries or recovery practices. So I think that, for me, is why we see the difference between the injuries we get now and the players that rush back. I think Rafa managed our medical team, because I think if you look back at Newcastle United as a whole, I think our medical team have always been quite poor from record with our injuries. And I think Rafa got that to a much better level, obviously moved on. And I think it's like some players, unfortunately, it's reverted to type.
Go on.
Go Fraser, go on. I think
I didn't see Cody there. I thought he was in on goal.
Yeah, I did.
Going on what you just saying there, Martin, with the injuries, I think a lot of the stuff under Rafa was all knocks or it was like long-term serious ones. There wasn't any muscle, like your groins, your hamstrings, the calves. There was hardly any of them under Rafa. It's because the training that Bruce puts them under, it's just too strenuous for them all the time. It's the same thing over and over again. You know, you should be. A lot of we all know these players are good football players, but it should be more about like one-touch football, a bit more tactics and stuff.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be this continual running, old-school training, which is what Bruce does, which is why we have so many muscle injuries.
Yeah.
This test, Pete, your bit about not trusting Richie at right back is now being put to the test, pal.
Well, we've had to. We've had to. But to be fair, if there's anyone to come off the bench to do that, it'd be Matt Ritchie, because he's been so versatile for us, and he's played in so many different positions over the last 3 or 4 years that you could trust him. And you know what? It's another leader on the pitch.
Absolutely.
You can't have enough leaders.
Go on, mate.
Go on.
It's it. Joe?
Oh, good hit. Sorry.
Going back to Richie's point, you're absolutely right. I think I mentioned a week or two ago about Rafa Benitez's training methods and how it wasn't all about running, but it was about position. So he'd have them on the pitch, and they would work on their structure in game on how they move side to side with and without the ball, and it was constant. And a lot of the players, so people like Shelby, that didn't like it because it was all tactical, and for some of them they found it maybe a little bit boring. But actually, on the pitch, it made a hell of a difference.
It worked, yeah.
And our overall performance in the right.
Oh, what a no!
Neto.
Nothing.
Neves.
Is that cross coming in? He should have stopped it. Can't let that cross come in.
Fuck.
Could Dubravka done better?
Dubravka should have stopped it as well, to be fair.
It was right in the corner, though, to be fair.
He gets a glove, though. He gets a glove to it, though, Pete.
Free header.
Oh, no, he should have stopped it.
Yeah, he's got to stop.
He should have. You'd a glove to it, lads. A bit more power in the. Bit. He's a bit like you, Chris Hall. You know, he should be stronger in the wrist.
The hell of a header, mine. Going backwards away from goal, mine. It's a good header.
It is.
Yeah, but one of the smallest men on the bloody pitch, though, lads.
It's because it was a free header. There was no one near him.
Hayden's position
a mile away.
Why is he standing behind him when the ball's coming into the box? He should be marking him. That's the problem. Fuck's sake, man.
Our lead. Where do we go from here? We conceded 1-1. We've lost some key players. What happens next?
They were exhausted in getting back to defense. In my opinion, the goal we concede. I noticed Shelby is hardly running. They are exhausted, and I think the reason of the injury is because the timing of Bruce substitution is mostly wrong. Now we are losing Saint Maximin and Almiron. God knows when they will get back. And it's not make sense if you just make substitution if your player get injured
by the balls here.
If get injured. So this is for me the reason of get more injuries, because we are use more than 100% of the player. We notice
there's no one in there.
It looks like a change of shape as well. It looks like Hayden's got to back three centre halves. If you look,
or is he just pushed into right back?
I don't know. It could possibly
He looks like he's pushed back. Richie's come on to the right, and Fraser's gone left. Richie's gone right. Joe Linton's up front. Willock's in behind them, and it looks like Hayden's gone to right back, lads.
It's just the way that Murphy seems to be quite. I don't know where's Murphy playing now.
Sure, that's a foul.
Holly, disappointing to concede. What are your thoughts on that, and what do you reckon is the best we can get out of this game now, considering the players we've lost?
I think now we'll probably only get a point, which is a shame, because we could have really had 3 points there, and we need points if we're being realistic. Hayden was at fault for that goal for me. He should have been marking him. It was completely his mistake. I mean, you could argue that Dubravka should have done better, but I think he still tried his best. He did get a glove on it. But hopefully we can score another goal and come back into it. I just hope that Wolves don't get another chance, because if they do, I think that's us, game over for us. I think we will lose. Just hopefully we can hold on to this point now, because I can't see us scoring another goal, unfortunately.
Martin, what do you think? Do you agree with that? Tell us a bit more about the weak wrist action as well.
I think Chris is the expert on that, Ned. But I think, I mean, I agree with Holly. I mean, I think the marking was piss poor. We lost a bit of shape. I mean, that's an absolutely brutal ball just played there to nobody. I mean, look, we've lost our outlet. In Almere on an ASM. Fraser's ball in for the goal was great. But you're looking now, 76 minutes on, all three subs are on. If we get another injury, God help us. Wolves to be fair, have come back into it. They've had play, but they've not really, that's probably really the first chance that they've really created and took. I think Dubravka could have done a bit better, but Hayden should have been there. Holly's right. Hayden should have been right alongside him. It's not like he's a 6'2" attacker that he's a lot smaller than that. But I'll stick with the 2-1. I'm still confident we can do something. I still think the Wolves are there for the taking. So I'll stick with me 2-1 for now, mate.
Martin, I think I'm looking at the formation. Murphy is playing like a right wing back. So it looks like Hayden's got like right centre back with Lascelles, and then Clark was the left centre back, with Ben Lewis going as a left wing back. And I think Richie's playing like a right wing, Fraser's left wing, and then obviously I don't know if they put Joe Linton through the middle.
Yeah, okay.
Pete, at least 2 of the goals at Man United were soft. That one we've just conceded now, incredibly soft again. What's the problem? What's the problem within this back four? And dare I ask you what your thoughts are at the moment?
Concentration.
Mate, I'm fucking gutted. I'm absolutely gutted, because as I think it might be Holly or Martin who just mentioned, they haven't even really created anything.
Haven't done nothing.
They've been tested the whole game. Couple of shots straight into his arms. So it's so frustrating that we've let such a shit goal in.
Does that say more about the character of the team, though? Do you think?
I think it says more about the concentration of the players. There's a lack of concentration there for 90 minutes, and we do switch off. And Hayden switched off for that one, because whether he was the right back, the centre midfielder, or the centre back, it doesn't matter. When you've got a guy that's not being marked and he's right in front of you, you pick him up. You pick him up and you make sure he's marked. He's standing in the box unmarked. That is like the rule one of what you should not do in this situation. It's just such a shame, and I don't want us to throw it away. There's still an opportunity here to create one more chance or a couple more to get us back into the lead again. Because even with the likes of St. Maximin and Almere on off, we're still pushing forward. We're still putting them under a little bit of pressure. We can't make it all about seeing out the game. We need to keep pushing to the 3 points.
Yeah, Richie, I think I agree with Pete with it's a concentration thing. It looks like we tend to drop off usually around this time of the game, if not earlier, like we did last week against Man United. From what you've seen so far, have these lot got the bottle to survive this season? Do you think, Richie?
I think if it was back in the Rafa days 2 years ago, I would have said 100% would steal. I think with having Bruce at the helm, I'll always be nervous, because he doesn't know how to manage the players. He doesn't know how to coach them properly. So that's my major worry. One of the things that Rafa did, he constantly coached the style, he constantly ran them through the game, and he constantly made sure they were switched on. There's far too many times now where we concede goals, and it's usually down to lack of concentration for the majority of the goals that we concede, unfortunately.
Do you agree with that, Chris? Is that a fair summary? Is that soft goals again? Yeah, again for 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, it is a fair summary what Richie said there. I mean, do you know what? It's just disappointing, because that is the first. Oh,
go on!
It's it! Oh! Oh,
save.
Joe, you've got to put that in. You've got to
Handball?
put that in.
Someone's calling for handball. Someone's calling for handball.
Let's see here what happens.
Jacob
A
Murphy,
good
by the
save,
way.
man. Oh,
Oh, I tell you what, is that off
Was
his?
it?
Defender on
Hang
the
on,
right.
let's have a look. Let's have a look.
Is
Let's
it
see
Sam?
here now.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Oh, it's in on his arm.
Surely it looks like handball.
Going to give us a run through, guys?
VAR, and yes, so sorry, Manif, what's happened was Jacob Murphy went on a fantastic run into the box, took on 2 or 3 men. No,
Not
it's
given,
not. They've
not
not
given.
given it. Not given. It's a corner. I'll just run through this corner, Nath. Ball into the box, headed out. It's going back in, Richie.
Oh,
no,
Richie,
no,
man.
no way of talking about that.
Richie, man.
Hate Richie, man.
So Jacob Murphy went on a fantastic run, took about 3 or 4 men on, laid the ball off to Joe Linton. Joe Linton had a free shot at goal. He hits the ball, he gets it on target, but he should have done better, in my opinion. Yeah, Jacob Murphy lays it off to him. Joe Linton, side foot, and yeah, the keeper's made a save, and it's also deflected off a Wolves defender, Saiss, I think, and it's just gone, it's looped up, and it's the top of the net.
Joe Linton could have done anything else about that, honestly. He's just hitting and hoping, really. What else can you do?
A number 9, though, mate. He's got it
in place.
He's got to just bury that, not place it. He needs to bury
Put
it.
his laces through that one for me.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
exactly the same chance as the first half that Willock had from the other side. Just put your foot through it.
Yeah.
For me, he's leaning back there. He's leaning back, side-footed it. If that's falling to Shearer, there's only one place it's going, isn't it? It's going right through the net.
Put on a positive for Joe Linton. It was on target.
Yeah, it was. It was. Yeah.
Chris A, what are you? What are your thoughts so far? Do you think, from what you've seen today, does it fill you with any confidence for the rest of the season?
Yeah, Dubravka maybe didn't have a chance of that. I feel a little bit nonplussed that I was saying that I was happy that Dubravka was back and that he was a standout for me. That was a soft goal all around. I'm not sure that there's another goal in this match. Hopefully, we have some late game heroics, but yeah, I'm not really seeing. I'm not really seeing anything. Sort of, I feel like the lads have kind of fallen off, and that whatever sort of momentum they had early in the game with the possession, and then after the goal, I think was squandered even before the equalizer. So not a lot of positives for me in terms of after the goal from the second half. I sort of felt like, I'm not going to say that Wolves had it coming, but it sort of felt like Newcastle wasn't sort of capitalizing on going 1 up. And how many times have we seen that in the last 5 or 6 years, in terms of the most dangerous lead that Newcastle has is 1-goal lead in second half and not able to close it out, which is unlucky, unfortunate.
Just before you go on to leave, did anybody else see that little 1-2 conversation between Bruce and Graham Jones, where Graham Jones said something, and the exact words that Bruce said went, "Oh, fuck off." If you actually, I've actually wound it back. No, he did. I wound it back. So that's what I thought he said the first time. So I wound it back, and he does actually tell him. And so there's obviously something that Jones has done, and he just went, "Oh, fuck off," and he tells him, and Jones comes back at him. So there's obviously not harmony between them two.
No, I think they're tense at the best of times, especially after that first game when Jones took all the plaudits for that victory against Everton. Liam, are you happy with a point here, or given the injuries that we've got and the way this game's panning out?
No, I'd be very happy with a point. I think you look at this game on paper, you see that Wolves are actually unbeaten in the last 5. I'd be very, very happy with a point. We've played well. Obviously took the lead earlier on in the game, obviously in the second half, and then just an unfortunate lapse of concentration just to concede the goal. But these things happen.
What a ball!
And
go on.
I'm still quite
Oh, he's taking too
come
long.
on, would have put the foot through it, man.
Corner, fuck's sake.
Corner.
It's on his
What
wrong
too many
foot.
touches? That's why you want Longstaff to hit it first time as it's played out here, rather than taking 2-3 touches.
I think Longstaff might have come on if we'd have not had injuries.
Yeah, I reckon he would have.
But yeah,
He needs to hit that first time there.
yeah, I think anyway. Sorry, I will be happy with the point if it stays that way. You know, I think there'll probably be some considerable injury time because of the injuries and things like that and all the substitutions. But we'll have to see. But I'm personally quite happy with a 1-1.
Ollie, would you take a point at this point in the game? Are you happy with that?
I'm happy with the performance, and I am still going to insist if we have striker instead of Joelinton, like Andy Carroll or Gale, we could get much more buoyant from this game. We make it difficult for us with this continue in this way. We lose some players, and we did a lot of effort. We notice, like Southampton, when we try to win, we lose. We make injury. We make the game difficult for us, and we can make it much easier if we just do these changes.
Holly, when we've seen ASM go off previously, that's usually meant we've lost all our pressure, all our attacking intent in the game, but we still seem to be creating chances even with a couple of our best players off the pitch. Does that give you any confidence for the rest of the season? And are you happy with if the result stays as it is for tonight?
Yeah, I'll be happy with the point. I said I'd take a point before the game. I'd take anything as long as it's not another defeat. It is obviously a blow for us with Almiron and St Maximin going off, but we have still made chances, and that does give us confidence going forward in the next few games, because previously we've struggled quite a bit, especially with lots of our key players. And it's just nice to see that we can adapt in games, and hopefully we'll continue that onto the season, because we are bound to have more injury problems going forward. And I just hope that we can get a few more results to stay up, because I'm still worried about going down, I'm not going to lie.
Martin, is a point enough here tonight?
Look, it's better than none, but I think we should have taken the 3. I think we've been the better team. I think we've lost focus second half. Injuries will be interesting to know if they're going to be long-term or are they just little knocks and strains. I think if we go into the West Brom game missing an Almiron or ASM or both, then I think, look, you've got other players to come in, but I think it makes it tougher. But yeah, I think we've been the better team. I mean, Wolves, including the goal, have had 3 shots on target. That's all they've had, and it's 1-1. So the concentration is an issue. The marking was an issue. That's gone out. But yeah, I think we should have had I think we should have had the 3. I think we've done enough to have the 3. I think Wolves will be happy with the point, but I don't think we should be. I think we've deserved better. I think we should have taken them. If we'd have taken the chances, Nate, we should have had this game out of sight early on. So for me, a point is not good enough. In a relegation battle, it does us okay. A point, puts us 4 above those below us, but still not enough for me.
No, stop getting the fucking ball, man.
Pete, we talked earlier on about, I think one of the questions asked you all was, are we going to rue the missed opportunities in the first half? That seems to be the case now. And are you happy getting out of there with a point tonight?
No, I agree with Martin. We should be getting 3 points here. It'll be, look, if you'd have asked me before the game, I'd have said yeah, because I was nervous as hell, and I would have just took a point just to get something on the board. But actually, the way the game's panned out, even in the second half, we've had more of the chances going forward. We've still had opportunities to score. We had a hatful in the first half. We should be disappointed. Just getting a point if we end up just getting a point. But I'm a little bit worried that with 5 minutes to go, we're going to start to drop off. I hate the fact that whenever Traore is getting the ball, that one, we're not getting enough men around him, and 2, we're just backing off and backing off and backing off, and we're just allowing him to get closer and closer to goal. We cannot afford to do that. We've got to double up on him quick, and then one of them has got to go to try and win the ball. We have to do that. And, going into less than 5 minutes of injury time, and they're the ones that are pushing forward, it doesn't fill confidence at all. One thing I'll say is I've watched the goal again that they scored back, and it was actually Willock at fault for that goal. It's Willock's man, and he doesn't track him into the box. When he gets into the 18-yard box, he stops running. And so Hayden actually has 2 men, one behind him, and actually the runner, which is Neves, who scores the goal, to mark. And that's why when the ball goes in, he looks around to say, who's helping me out? So that's, again, a lack of concentration there from Willock. We cannot afford to concede a goal here. It would be absolutely horrific if we did.
It would be catastrophic. I think into 5 minutes of a time now. The lads are looking pretty leggy for me.
Oh my lord, the fuck.
Hit the bar.
He hit the bar.
With the Bravka.
Bravka saved that.
The Bravka gets a hand on it, Chris. Gets a hand.
Yeah.
Redeemed himself.
Yeah, no, he has.
I
Great
thought
save.
so.
I'll have to watch it back. Yeah, so basically what happened, Nate, ball came in the box from the left, and I forget who it was who headed it. Oh, yeah, ball came in from the box, header, and Dubravka made the save onto the bar. It bounced out. Wolves still under the attack now. We're just trying to clear our lines. Joe's on a break. No, he's not. He give the ball away. Now they're attacking Wolves. Again, Adama Traore picked it up on the left, and he's given the ball. The ball's coming in from the left. Bouncing round. Fraser's going to clear. Come on, Fraser, do something with it. Yeah, he's just hoofed it up. It's just took the pressure off.
Just seen the save now. What a save! Definitely redeemed himself. You're right, Martin. Definitely.
They're getting way too much ball now and a lot of space.
Yeah, way too much.
Yeah.
We're in for a long. How long's left? 2 minutes.
Just about
2 minutes. Yeah, 92 and a half minutes gone. 93 now, net. It's all Wolves at the minute.
It's all Traore, and nobody, everyone's letting him go in. Jesus, tonight,
man. They're doubling up, but they're just so lazy with it.
Yeah,
they're not close.
It's not like you don't know what's coming.
Yeah,
yeah, you know they're going to give it to him.
He is predictable.
It's on the left, Nath. Yeah. Oh, we've just given a free kick away. Yeah, Jacob Murphy's just given a free kick away. It's quite far out. It's near the throw in. Here's the save. Oh,
that's a hell of a save.
Oh, what a save!
Yeah,
yeah.
And off the bar.
Do you guys that are up to speed with it want to talk us through the closing moments then before we have a look
just
around
all Wolves. It's all Wolves. We've literally got pretty much everyone behind the ball. When Fraser had that out ball, he just literally had to hit it up front. There was nobody there to chase it, so they've literally got every person behind the ball at the minute. They're about to swing a free kick in from the left, which was Murphy gave away dead stupidly. Should have just stood him up. It's in the middle of the box, outside of our box now, just gone out to the right. Ball's been swung in. And Richie clears.
Come on. Go.
Break.
Send him. Go.
Come on, lads. Give it to him.
Ball in the box. Go on. Oh. No, nothing.
He was outside. He was outside the boxing anyway.
The stuff anyway.
Yeah, 94 and a half minutes gone.
Could be the last chance.
Yeah, Murphy with the ball. Central. Off the clock. Out to the left to Lewis, to Fraser. Back to Lewis.
Oh, come on.
And Lewis plays it straight out. 95 minutes coming up.
Yeah, I think that's
Mike
it.
Dean just about to blow. Done.
Yeah, over.
It.
Game over.
I'll take that. No.
1-1. On summary, then, I think, given the way that we started, I think we deserved to be in front early on, didn't we? I feel like we should have took those chances, like everyone said. Callum Wilson on the pitch. It's a different score within the first 10 minutes, isn't it? Richie, are you happy with that? And who's your man of the match?
Well, I predicted 1-1 at the start, But the problem is, I think with a lot of the Newcastle performances, even if you go back to Man U, first half, when we perform well, we think we could get a bit more from the game. That's disappointing when even if you lose, when the match goes better than what you expect, you still end up frustrated. So if you look at the first half an hour of the first half, up until last 20 minutes of the second half, first half of both halves, Newcastle have pretty much dominated. It seems to be the run out of steam for that last half of each half, and that's when Newcastle create the mistakes because they're just so tired, because they've pressed that hard, and then you invite them on for the dangerous part of each half, unfortunately. So yeah, before the game, I was happy with the point. I think the way that the game panned out, I'm disappointed we didn't get the 3, if I'm honest with you. Man of the match, I'd probably go with. It's hard to say. Miggy was good in the first half. ASM looked good first half. Didn't really be there second half. I don't know. Do you know what? I think this is probably. I don't know if anyone else might agree with this tonight, but I think I'm probably going to give it to Shelby actually, which I hate to say because I don't really like him. But we've always said on this show, credits where credits due. He's ran more than what Hayden did at certain parts tonight. He had more time. He looked to be playing the odd ball here and stuff like that. So I think probably because he played the 90 minutes as well, and other people went off who were playing better than him before that. So I'll reluctantly give it to Shelby.
1 point for Shelby. Chris, what do you reckon? I thought Shelby was okay tonight. Actually, one of his better games I've seen all season. I don't think he pulled up any trees, but for me, I think he's better than he has been all year. For me, probably.
Yeah, I'll probably go into more detail on that. To be honest, Nate, for me, I thought Shelby was outstanding tonight, but again, I'm saying that based on probably the shite that he serves us up most weeks. I mean it was black and white for me tonight, literally. Like that, if John Shelby performed like that week in, week out, he'd be a fan's favourite for me, because I thought tonight he showed all the effort. He was running about, he was pinging a few passes. Maybe, as Pete said, it could be down to the formation. Maybe that favoured them a little bit with having the extra man in the midfield and Wolves were down one. I don't know, but yeah, for me, especially with Miggy and Saint going off, has to be Shelby man of the match. In terms of the result itself, I'm content. That's the best way to describe it. I'm content with the point. I said that we needed at least a point tonight. We've got that point. It brings us level on points with Brighton. It keeps us 4 points ahead of Fulham. So it's a valuable point. Did we deserve more? Absolutely. If you look, Dubravka made that great save towards the end, and obviously you could argue he could have done better with the goal itself, albeit Willock's made a mistake or Hayden marking him. I don't know, but I'd have to watch it back. But I must admit I am really disappointed. It feels like an opportunity lost, but I am content with the point. We hung on in there. We did the job tonight. We deserved the 3 points. And the biggest thing for me, I'll reflect on this afterwards, is that we put in a good performance. We did ourselves proud for a lot longer than the 60 minutes that we did against Man United. So, I see it as progress. I don't want to use Steve Bruce's famous words, but, I think going into West Brom, the confidence should be there because the players went, you know what, we've played well against Wolves. We deserve more. Let's go out and repeat that same performance. Now, I suppose it's just fingers crossed, hoping that nothing too bad has happened to Miggy or Saint. I mean, if we're without Miggy and Saint next game, it's a worry. Jacob Murphy's come on and had a really good cameo. I thought he did really well. Richie, solid as always. I'd love to see Richie back in the 11. I'd like to see maybe Sean Longstaff come in next week, possibly Matty. I don't know what's happening with Matty, but I'm content with the results. Disappointed because we deserve more, but content. We didn't shoot ourselves in the foot. We've come away with a point, and as I say, we're level on points with Brighton, and we're 4 points now ahead of Fulham. So let's hope Palace do us a favour tomorrow, beat Fulham, and that we've got that nice little cushion going into the West Brom away game next game.
Chris, 4 points between us and Fulham. They've got a game in hand on us, but we've got points on the board. Does that result please you tonight? Are you happy with that? Does it give us what we need?
We should have got the 3 points. Disappointed in that. But, a point is a fair result. It was sort of a tale of not two halves, but a tale of almost 4 quarters. Newcastle put in the effort, sort of half of each half, but couldn't quite sustain the excellence or momentum throughout both halves, and that did us in the end, and not being able to convert more, and then having to hang on to a 1-goal lead, which, as I said before, is always precarious with Newcastle, no matter who's in goal. It's disappointing to see Dubravka give up that goal, but I don't think it's only his fault. I think it was breakdown in the back for the team. Positives, Almiron is running all over the field, and is always putting in a shift. So he'd be my man of the match.
Liam, are you happy with that result? And who's your man of the match, pal?
I'm going to be honest. I thought I would be happy with the result, but once it's come to the end, I'm actually feeling a bit sad right now. I don't know if it's to do with the result or if it's just me, but I'm feeling quite sad right now. I can't really pick my head up that much. I think I've just sort of had a moment to think about the next few games that we've got, and the next few games that Fulham have got, and I'm getting really worried, really worried here. Really worried. I think I'm all right with taking a point, but it's just we could have had more there. Without a doubt, we could have had more. There was so many chances to take the win there. I think the biggest chance of the game, without a doubt, was Joe Linton's chance. And I mean, I think he did everything that he could. You've got a second to think about what you're doing there, and I think he did everything that he could. But it's come to a defender clearing the ball off the line. And like I saw someone comment there, that's a difference between 1 point and 3 points. But, that's football at the end of the day. Sometimes you'll get it and sometimes you don't. And let's hope that we do get it next time. But I think for now, I just want to just get me head down and go to bed after that, because that has really sort of put me a bit down in the dumps. Man of the match, I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to give a man of the match to anyone. We didn't win the game. I don't think anyone deserves to get a man of the match award if we didn't win the game. Unfortunately, I think that's just what I do. But it's another game that I've been on here. It's another game that not seen a win. So I'm sorry, everyone.
Hey, we didn't lose, Liam.
Yeah, but we didn't win. That's the main thing.
No.
Alwaleed, what are your closing remarks on the game, and who was your man of the match, pal?
If I didn't watch the game and just see the result, and if I say 1-1, I would be happy. But because I saw the game from beginning until the end, I feel we deserve to win this game. As I said before, we can make it much easier if we put another striker instead of Joelinton. For me, now at this point, my man of the match for anyone who scored the goal or the winning goal. So for me, Jamal Lassos, of course.
Holly, not the birthday present you were hoping for, but another point to add to the tally. Is that going to be enough for us, do you think, given what games we've got coming up, and what are your reflections on the match?
I hope that it's enough for us. Like I said, I would have taken a point. I'm not too disappointed with the point. I think we could have went on to get 3. It was unlucky that we didn't. Unfortunately, we just dropped off a little bit, but the performance wasn't too bad compared to normal, so I'll definitely take the point. Until Miggy Almiron went off, he would have been my man of the match. I just think he just creates so much for us, and his pace, his effort, everything about him is just outstanding for me. And yeah, it could have been worse. It could have been better, definitely. But overall, I'd say I'm okay with getting the point.
Martin, did injuries take that game out of our hands tonight?
Yeah, I think second half, Nath. Yeah, but I think we should have took the chances in the first half, and we didn't. And I think if you want to win games, and that to me was a winnable game tonight. Wolves were there for the taking, so okay, it's a point on the board, but for me, it's not enough. It's not good enough. It doesn't really do us any favours. We've got West Brom, Villa, Brighton and Spurs up next. West Brom now becomes a game again we must win. If we only get a point or nothing out of that, we're in bigger trouble. Villa won tonight at home. That could be a tough enough game. And then Brighton. So injuries is a worry. If we, hopefully we can get Wilson back sooner rather than later, because I think we need his cutting edge. It'll be interesting to get the updates on injuries from the club later on, or Bruce or whoever is going to let us know. But I think if we've got injury worries going into the West Brom game, that's another big concern for me. So man of the match wise, probably from a point of, okay, didn't probably could have done a bit more with the first goal, but the deflected save onto the bar for what would have been a winner for Wolves, I'll give me man of the match to Dubravka. So I think if that goes in, it's good night, God bless. So I'll give it to him. But I think anybody that underestimates the next 3 or 4 games that we've got and says that we can go out and win all of them is deluded. Because we are in a relegation battle and we've got tough games against other teams in and around us that we must pick up some points, and a point is not going to be good enough. So we now need to win games. So we need hopefully those players back. We need Wilson back, and that intensity that Pete talked about, that we've all spoken about, needs to be there for the 95 minutes, not for 60. Because without that, we won't win games.
Yeah, Pete, I thought we looked quite leggy in the second half there, especially after the 60 minutes. I think having that hand forced with the injuries wasn't great either. What are your closing remarks on the game?
I'm disappointed, if I'm honest. We should have got the 3 points, and we were leggy towards the end. I think the only thing that got us through the 90 minutes is the fact that, one, we were leading, and 2, we were trying to hold on to something. I think that's the only thing that kind of kept us in the game. Dejan Dublin on Sky has just said that a point was the right result. No, it wasn't. Wolves were not good today. We deserved and we did enough to win the game, and we should be disappointed with that. And listening to Jamal Lascelles' interview, he's disappointed with that, and that's a positive sign, because Martin's right. These next 2 games that we play, West Brom and Brighton away, are critical to our season. We have to get 3 points in at least one or both of those games if we're going to survive this season. A point in each is not good enough. It's not enough. The only positive is after tomorrow, Palace have got some tricky games coming up. Sorry, not Palace, Fulham have got some tricky games coming up. That sort of goes in our favour, really. I'm disappointed. There were some positive signs that we were getting men into the box, that we were looking to want to score for 90 minutes, not just for one half or for 60 minutes or for 65 minutes. We were constantly throwing men forward, getting into the box, causing Wolves problems. We just need to be more clinical with our finishing. We really do, because we're shooting ourselves in the foot by not putting these chances away. I pray that Almiron and St. Maximin are just knocks, and that they're going to be okay for the weekend, because we're going to need. They're going to be crucial to us, and we didn't have the same spark or intensity without those 2 on the pitch. My man of the match, I'm going to give it to Jamal Lascelles. He's had a lot of criticism. He scored a big goal for us. I thought his positional play was better tonight. I thought defensively he was solid. He had a real intensity about himself. He was blocking off and cutting off balls before it led to something. So things that people wouldn't see, he was doing that tonight. And he had the grip in his teeth, and he looked like he wanted it. And you could tell in his interview at the end, he was really disappointed that we didn't get the 3 points there. So that's pleasing to see that our captain is stepping up, and we need that in the games to come. So for me, it's now on to West Brom, where we have to win. We have to win that game. It's as simple as that.
And Steve's back. Welcome back, Steve.
Hey, well done, Nathan. Very good, mate. I enjoyed that. Obviously, I was just doing the comments, but I enjoyed Nathan's performance more than I enjoyed the game, to be honest. Big thank you to our sponsor, Spider VPN, and they are going to continue to sponsor us next month, so great to have them on board. Thank you for sponsoring the StreamYard application. Big shout out to qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend in Newcastle, and to Jab Signature, who are the makers of our flyers and promotional material. If you're a new visitor to the channel, subscribe. Over 600 new subscribers this week, so please click the like button, click share and comment, and just help our community grow a little bit. My take on the game, Nathan, well, if you check me Twitter from this morning, I did call it 1-1, and I did put some money on it today. So I've got a little earner, which is the first time this season. So I am happy in that
Drinks
respect.
on you then.
Yeah, well, hardly. The amount I got back. But you know what? It's a relegation battle. That's where we're at, and I've got to agree with everybody there. Martin's just coined it really with, we need to win. Pete said the same. We need to win at West Brom. Nothing's really changed. We needed 4 points out of these two games minimum. 6 points would have been great, but we're praying now again that Crystal Palace can do us a favour tomorrow, and that keep Fulham behind us by more than a point, and we can then go and beat West Brom next week. Then suddenly things will look a bit rosier. But Rich has put a comment in the inbox, and I did watch Jamal Lascelles' interview, and basically he said he's going to go into the dressing room to find out what message Steve Bruce and Graham Jones had given Richie when he came on, because the players weren't sure on the tactics or the formation. Bizarre interview. Weird for him to say that. I'm sure we'll not hear the last of it, and I'm sure we'll be discussing that for the rest of the week over the course of the next 7 days.
Steve, did you actually see them when they were arguing on the touchline as well?
Yeah, I did. I've watched it back a couple of times. I listened to you comment on that, and people are going mad, putting it on Twitter, etc. It'll get knocked off there, because obviously it's Sky, and they're quite quick to knock anybody who posts anything on Twitter. But I have seen it. It is difficult. I don't think he's saying that to him. I think he's more or less saying that he's saying it about something, but you can't pick it up. I see where you are coming from, but I genuinely don't think he was telling him to do one. Seems as if they were having a conversation. I think maybe it was about the injury or whatever that one of the players has sustained. That's the biggest blow today. That is the biggest blow, losing ASM and Miggy, and we've got to hope that those injuries aren't severe, because if they are, our attacking options are severely dented for next week. No Wilson, no ASM, and no Miggy next week equals very little creativity. What we're going to go with, Andy Carroll and Joe Linton up front. It's worrying. It's worrying times.
I think it's unprecedented to say for a captain to come out and say that the messages wasn't clear from the management. I've never heard anything like that before in all the years I've been watching football. It seems like a direct thing to undermine Bruce to me publicly.
Yeah, I mean, you get a chance to watch. I'm going to retweet it so anybody may be able to see it. But I'm retweeting that clip there now on Twitter, so you get a chance to see what Rich has mentioned in the chat. I don't know. It's a hard one to call. You'll get lip reading specialists and all sorts who will be on that, I think. But it'll be interesting to see. But it's disappointing. It's disappointing. It's a disappointing point. It has to be said. But if we win next week and Fulham get beat tomorrow, then things might look a little bit rosier. We'll have to wait and see. I am back tomorrow afternoon, 1 o'clock. Join me with Mick Lowes. He will be back to chat about today's game and what's going on at Newcastle United, and whether he thinks Newcastle can stay up, and then it'll be back to the normal routine next week. But listen, great job, Nathan. Well done. I'm sure the team want to give you a bit of a round of applause. It was an excellent performance.
Well done, Nate.
Man of the match for me, Kidder, and we'll give somebody else a turn for next week's game. I think it's only fair we'll share it around a little bit. So well done, Nathan. Well done. Cheers to Rich. Cheers to Chris. Cheers to Chris A, to Liam, to Pete, as always, to Martin. Don't forget Loaded Football last week was a great episode on Wednesday. Try and get back on the playlist and watch that. Thanks to Al Walid, and I kept you to the last. Holly, have a great birthday. I know it's awful not being able to go out and do what you would have normally done, but at least we didn't get beat. Holly.
Yeah, it's always a positive. Try to think of the positive side. So
good stuff. Take care, guys. I'll let you go and enjoy your Saturday night. Thanks very much. Good night.
Good night.
See you later, folks. Night all. Thanks, Nick.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you.